Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Kyle, your boy, aka Vulcan Wolverine. It is start date about 9:10 p.m. June 25th, 2019, and I just wanted to make a live stream. The beginning of it's kind of gonna be somber. Became very popular. Doing reaction videos, and he had a huge following on YouTube a while ago, but he posted some really bad stuff, almost to purposefully shut down his own channel. But he's still, really big on Twitch and Instagram. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have maybe heard about this. Some of you may not know about it. But Etika, like this huge Twitch streamer, he seemed like a very, very nice young man. He had a lot of problems, which me as a targeted individual, like I was looking at this situation. Y'all know what I do. I'm looking at these situations. I think it's such a priority. Such a priority. I don't see anything in this situation where it's like, okay, he was targeted by neuroweapons, he was targeted by gang stalking. I think that, Etika was probably just, targeted by the environment that he went into with social media. I'm gonna go ahead and open up my chat room because I know a lot of people. I should wait a little bit for some people to come in. But I wanted to, show Etika's goodbye video. He seemed like a really nice young man. He seemed like he was fighting a lot of stuff. And as I looked at this situation, I was looking at this situation, everything that led up to it. He was losing a lot of followers on Twitch and stuff like that. Like people were kind of harassing him online, but I don't think he was actually in the program of being tortured by neuroweapons and being gang stalked. Actually, I think it was just, his social media accounts kind of took on a life of their own, and it really affected him, and it affected his very young life. And there's a very important lesson that, like, we as targeted individuals, but like everybody that's not directly targeted and tortured like we are, we really, really have to watch our perspective and watch our perception. Those are like two of the biggest things that have helped me to survive my torture and like V2k 24 hours a day, gang stalking, people being lied to about you so that they gang stalk you. Having the right perception and perspective, because like I see his goodbye video, Etika's goodbye video, and it's like very smart, very loving and stuff like that. And if he could have just taken that perception of his goodbye video and just said, okay, I probably need to get off of social media and live my life like that. I just don't see why that couldn't happen. But there is mental illness in the world. Even though people are being targeted, even though, targeted individuals are being tortured, there is also things where an environment can affect a person, infect a person, with depression, anxiety, of feeling like it's in control of them. So I feel like just as people, not just targeted individuals, or just not those people who maybe, are not targeted in society, we've got to keep perspective on it. And mainly not let these things, because with me it's not easy. Like I have kind of gotten sucked into, even though I don't have a huge channel, you kind of get sucked into like, oh, my subscribers, and am I building a YouTube channel? I still ask myself that question, because at the beginning of this, it was like, I'm just getting this information out about targeted individuals. But then somewhere along the way, I get infected with like, oh man, these people are doing this to make their YouTube channels big and stuff like that. And still, it's a battle. I come out of it with the perception of, I'm just getting information out about this really, really dangerous, important topic. I don't really have a YouTube channel, right? I have to fight for that though, because like all these things, and I see how social media in this crazy system that has been built up, a good system in a lot of ways where people can get out information. Now with what YouTube's doing and how, you know, censorship works, it's really bad. But still, there is a little bit of, hey, I can get some truth out that the mainstream media is not getting out. Got to constantly keep that in perspective. You know, especially me. You know, especially me. Even though I don't have a huge YouTube channel, I am just trying to get important information out about targeted individuals. I think you know, oh man. All right, hold on, guys. That's my dad. Right when I started the video. It's total remote neural manipulation. Give me a second, guys. Y'all, welcome in the chat. I'm gonna go ahead and get it open on my tablet. Okay, all right. Well, I love you guys. Okay, all right. Hey, hey guys. Sorry about that. Super weird. It's just super weird, and I know that only targeted individuals will understand this. My dad was almost killed. Like, you know, he started getting the high pitched sound in his ears after my 33rd birthday. After a week, he had an aneurysm in his brain that he almost died in surgery. And what it seems like, what it appears to me to be, let me get my chat room open. I'm gonna be showing a lot of stuff. I'm trying to kind of keep it short, but that happened last night. Like, my parents are coming into town because my dad has to go to a lot of doctor's appointments. So he still has his doctor in Louisiana, but they live in Florida. And like last night, I was doing a cleansing bath. Like right when I got in the bathtub, knock on the door, and it's my dad. He's like bringing me some food because you know, because they ate at my grandma's house, came home, and then it popped into his head to come over and give me that food right at that time. Right when I started this live stream, knock at the door for my dad. It's constant stuff like that, and it's this is what it seems like to me. I can't prove it, right? It's so hard to prove this stuff, and like as I go through this, the main priority becomes letting people know about it, like all these details of what our attackers do and what they do to our family and these weird remote neural manipulation experiences. That's going to be kind of, it's very, very hard for people to believe because they can't even believe that people are being, you know, targeted with, you know, integrated directed energy weapon systems. But this kind of stuff happens with my dad all the time. And to me, it's like, that is remote neural manipulation. It's like at very inconvenient times, like he'll show up and my dad's not gang stalking me. He's not a part of this, but after he almost died from that brain aneurysm, his targeting still went on. And he will never admit that somebody's doing something like this to him. Just an awful situation. My dad's such a great guy. You know, he set us up for success. Like the family, he set us up for success, and you know, great entrepreneur, did everything, you know, legal, took care of his family. And it's like my dad's being targeted and my mom's being targeted. I think the world is coming to that understanding. So we've got to keep pushing. But that's one of the reasons why. I mean, you know, the stuff about Etika's passing is all over YouTube, and it was kind of in my face because since I have a YouTube channel, I'm always on YouTube. I get on YouTube. It's an unhealthy thing at this point. Like YouTube for me and social media for me is a little bit unhealthy because on nights like this, I'm like, wow, I want to make a live stream. I want to do a video, but you know, talking about this stuff all the time, it gets kind of unhealthy for people who are not targeted individuals, and they have these huge social media platforms, these followings. And I mean, that's what we're looking at with Etika, how he got into this and had so many followers, it became his life. You know, he's making good money and he had a good life from it, but it was getting in his head. I mean, he was saying things like he's the Antichrist, or you know, he's God and stuff like that. And like this reality is just made for him, like a young kid who has a social media platform and, you know, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are following, it can really screw up their perspective. You know, not just their mental functioning and what they think about the world, their perspective on life, who they are, how important they are, how important, not just how important they are, because we're all important. If you decide to be important, you are important. If you decide to be a child of God, you are a child of God, and you can do incredible, amazing things. But just look at this you know, this situation, like 3 times Etika was saying things like, you know, that he may commit suicide or something like that. This time, like, he said it, and some people were worried. Some people were like, "Oh, here we go again. You know, he's just trying to be edgy or whatever." But then, actually, you know, and I don't know how he died, but his body was found in the water in New York. So I'm guessing, you know, I guess that maybe he like took a jump off a high place. You know, that's kind of what's happening lately. From the targeted individual, Crystal Starheart, she jumped off of a bridge, and then Cappy, who I really think was targeted. Now I'm looking at this situation, guys, and I could be wrong, right? I just I didn't know much about Etika. I'd seen a lot of memes because he reacts to Nintendo videos. He gets really excited. He has like a kind of a Twitch stream where he'll watch movies and he reacts to them, which is it's very crazy to me, because like when I watch movies or play video games, I like to enjoy them. And it reminded me, though, check this out, guys. It reminded me of how, like, I'll be playing video games or watching movies, right? And I have my attackers on V2k. A lot of it's chatterbox, but I really do think there are people on shift work sitting there watching me and commenting on stuff. And I was like, wow, Etika like built up his social media platform to have that connection with these people who would harass him. Some people would like him and stuff like that, but that's kind of like what my V2k is like. There's a female voice that's like, oh, leave him alone, he's a good guy, this is getting crazy and stuff like that. And then there's these guys that are like, you know, they're like, we got to do this, you know, we got to take him out, he's going crazy, this is working and stuff like that. But it just gave me that feeling when I was watching. I watched this little clip of Etika like watching Game of Thrones on a live stream with like hundreds of thousands of people. I don't know how many people were watching, probably thousands, tens of thousands. And he's watching, you know, Game of Thrones, and I was like, that's like my life kind of as being a targeted individual, but they're hurting me, and I didn't sign up for it, you know. And I think a person that young, like Etika, you know, he didn't really know what to expect from all this. You know, hey, you know, I'll be famous, I'll be well known. This is a cool thing to make money, but he didn't understand like how much pressure that could be in the environment. I just end and just said, okay, let's start again. Let's start again. Sometimes as human beings, we get so filled up with crap, right? And especially for targeted individuals, because you're getting remote neural manipulation, you're getting V2k, you're getting all these things. It's pumping in your mind. And sometimes, you know, like, we're human beings, so it's not like we're weak or anything, but we get filled up. We have to start over again. You have to, you know, you're thinking maybe kind of broken because of the targeting or something like that, but you got to just say, okay, well, I'm going to start over. Where can I start over? How can I, you know, how can I heal up, regenerate, restart? But guys, just that always happens with my dad. Just like right when I'm starting to do something, or it's like an awkward situation where I'm just going to the bathroom or something like that, boom, he's at the door. And it's like he's probably been sitting over at their place, and he just had that impulse to come over. And there's no way I could tell him or convince him of that, you know. I got a really bad sit on my chin. Let me open up my chat room, guys. But welcome anybody who's coming in. I kind of have a random. This is a random live stream. I have a lot of stuff I want to get to and go over, and it's kind of a tale of I don't want to, I'm not comparing Etika to Randy Quaid. Randy Quaid's been putting out some new videos, but it is a thing where I look at these two situations, right? Like I look at Etika and how he was having a lot of depression, a lot of pressure, saying crazy stuff. The environment was getting to him, and I looked at it and I was like, is this a targeted individual? Could he have been, getting V2k or getting remote neural manipulation? I guess the bottom line is, I don't know 100%, but I do look at that situation. I'm like, it does not seem like he is a targeted individual in the sense of being targeted with neuro weapons, being targeted with directed energy weapons, and then gang stalked in his community physically, by DHS fusion centers and InfraGard. But he was struggling with a form of targeting from his environment. His environment getting so big, the social media platform getting so big, people insulting and people calling the cops on him all the time. This life, that kind of sprung up around him when he decided to, make a YouTube channel, make a Twitch channel, that it's sick environment, or it can become sick. There can be great things about it, but a lot of it can be kind of like this, so it's, but then Randy Quaid, I do think is a targeted individual. I think Randy Quaid has been gang stalked. He's been hit with these neuro weapons and stuff. So it's kind of these two things aren't really comparable, but it's big in the point that I want to make. And you guys understand my priority, right? My priority is to give targeted individuals who watch my channel, survivors of non-consensual human experimentation, to give them information, defenses and everything, to make their lives better, to make us stronger so that we can all move forward. But then you look at that priority, right? You look at that priority and you say, well, what's connected to that? What's connected to that is we need to let non-targeted individuals know, people just in the public, everyone. We have to let them know, look, there's all these crazy situations going on. Etika might not be a targeted individual, right? But the fact that there are neuro weapons being used on people, like, did they just get picked? They get profiled, picked, could cross, you could cross somebody that you don't know that may have access to this program and put you in it. You can have a surgery and get a non-consensual implant put in you, which is what I think happened to me. Or it's like my dad. Like, I think that because I was targeted, he was being surveilled at the time too, and they said, well, that's the threat, because his dad's kind of helping him. His dad might actually help him get a lawyer and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and start targeting him, which I think that led to an aneurysm. They weren't like, hey, let's cause an aneurysm, but they were like, we're going to target him after Kyle's 33rd birthday to psyop the whole family and to make sure, and he may have been targeted before that, for all I know. But you might just have a targeted individual in your family and get targeted because they're a targeted individual. You see, it spreads like that. So on the priority of how can we be safer? How can we be stronger? How can we have the right perspective? How can we get closer to God? There's also this thing connected to it of people who are not targeted. We really have to, they have to know that these weapons are being used on people. So when we see a crazy situation, right? We see Randy Quaid making some, I mean, they're funny videos. I don't know what he's trying to do. I'm going to show you guys all this stuff. Let me, making some, I mean, and hey, Badger, hey, Autumn, hey, Cosmic Rays, hey, Native. Oh, I gotta read your email after this video, Native. I keep forgetting to. I'm just, I'm just basically like, I'm not even really thinking like, what can I put out in videos next? There's so much information, like just today, I just got on YouTube and it was like all these situations that I need to talk about. One from the Edge of Wonder that's like huge. It's huge. It's like they're talking about people getting V2k because of this Lord Ashtar situation. So I'll explain that more. And then I definitely, I want to do more videos on the Directed Energy Summit, especially from 2019. but it's really boring. Like not the information that's pinpointed and where they're giving us information like, okay, well, DHS, Homeland Security is using these weapons and whatever they're doing and stuff like that. But going through all the presentations, they're talking a lot of business and how do we, how do we mix laser and high power microwave, but they do it in this very boring business type way where it's hard for me to just sit down and like go through those and find the details that we need to hear. So I end up playing the whole thing when I really, I don't want to. On this next one, I want to pick out, very solid points. Badger Report said, okay, yeah, everybody needs to know about this. Hey, Autumn, did you hear about TrueStream Media doing a screening of their documentary on Minds of Men? It's in Austin, Texas on July 2nd, and I'm going. Aaron and Melissa are going to be there. Yeah, I wish I could go to that too. Welcome guys. So I'm gonna just get to it, but I have my chat open on my tablet. I'm gonna plug it in so it doesn't. That kind of startled me a little bit because it happened last night. It happens like clockwork that my dad will show up at the door in these weird situations. Like right when I got in the bathtub last night. Tonight I just started my live stream. Boom, knock knock on the door. So that tells me what that tells me, and I guess I don't want to preface this with I know it sounds crazy, but it's like to me in all the little things and what happened after my 33rd birthday, a week after, my dad is being extremely remote neural manipulated. There was this time, my grandma was cooking, everyone was in the kitchen, and my grandma got kind of agitated and was like, told my dad, like, get out of the way, I got to get this thing. And I watched my dad, like, he got severely agitated and like just walked out of the house. And it was like this, it's just really, really, like, to me, I was like, that is remote neural manipulation right there. And he doesn't know that it's happening, so it's going to be worse. Whatever the attackers, whatever kind of impulse they put into his mind, whatever. I don't think he'd have V2k, but if he does have audible V2k, he wouldn't tell anybody about it. He wouldn't say anything about it, So it just that really messes me up. But let me go ahead. Let me share my screen, guys. And I want to show Etika's goodbye video, and I'll tell you all the channel it came from. But mainly like with Etika, some of you guys might not know who he is, but we have to look into that. Even though I don't think he was a target individual in the sense that I'm a target individual getting hit with neuro weapons and stuff like that, and being gang stalked. You guys in the chat, getting hit with remote neural manipulation and things like that. I do think that it's something we definitely have to learn from what happened to him. A young kid, and then he starts making all this money, and there's all these people kind of, it messes with his perception, because I think that one time he put up this hentai porn on his YouTube channel so that it would get taken down, instead of just not making videos, right? Instead of just saying, hey guys, I got to take a break, because maybe he'd lose subscribers or something like that. That's a huge thing to me, because even though I have a small channel, and I'm really, I would say, like, I don't really have a YouTube channel. I have a place that I found where I can get information. Now I've struggled with, oh, this is what you got to do to make a good YouTube channel. You got to edit stuff. You got to, talk about this or that. It gets in your head a little bit, even if you have a small channel. I think that I'm coming out on the other side of that, though, and I'm keeping my perspective. If YouTube took down my channel, I'll have my videos like put on a hard drive, and I'll be like, okay, well, that's how it is, because these are crazy systems, right? YouTube and even BitChute's going to get crazy, and Twitter definitely crazy. Twitch. There are some people that do Twitch streams just watching movies and eating. Like, I mean, that's a crazy system, right? So it's not exactly targeting, right? But it's this crazy thing that can rip away your perspective. And perspective is the most important thing that we have to fight with. How you see things, how you see the world, your connection to God, right? And another thing that I'm going to show y'all is going to be something my attackers have never tried to do to me, and I know why. Because they remote neural monitor you for a while. They find out about your psychology. They've never tried to act like they are God, or they are some kind of alien higher intelligence or something with the audible V2k with me. I guess they knew that I would never go for that. And I want to tell y'all why that is, and what defense I had against that. And I think it's a defense that we not only need to talk about with targeted individuals, it's a and it's a mental defense. It's a mental, the way that we think about how God communicates with us is very, very important, especially in these times. It's not only important to target individuals, it's important to people who may become a targeted individual, who they may hit with this voice of God weapon, they might hit with V2K, and it's people who think, oh, if God speaks to me, it'll be in a loud, booming voice and stuff like that. So let's get started, guys. I'm not going to show the whole thing, but I just want to show y'all, why, and you know, rest in peace, Etika. I know he was saying like he was the Antichrist and stuff like that, and I think he was going through a spiritual awakening, trying to understand what was going on with his life and why he felt so bad from like losing subscribers. He was going through something as a young man that was big, you know, that was big for him, and I just wish that he could have gone through it. And not killed himself. You know, that he could have gone through it with the mentality, you know, the mentality that he had like right before he did it. It was at peace. He was peaceful. We can have that and stay alive, even in the hardest situations, you know. And I'm not judging him. He was a young man hit with a huge thing, and you know, frankly, bottom line, you know, I always try and bottom line things because things get so crazy, they get so out of hand. You know, what's happening with me, how much my body hurts, sometimes hard to communicate. God helps me push through it, but kind of forgot what I was going to say. But anyway, the bottom line is our perspective and perception. It's what's kept me alive. It's what's kept me vital. Should I say vital? You know, I know this targeting rips us apart and stuff like that, but you can always renew yourself. Like whatever your attackers have done, you can find things to make you feel better and renew yourself. Forget in any mistakes that you made, or if you were like, because a lot of times, I'll tell you guys the truth. Ooh, I don't want to go too much into this. I do want to show. I want to show his goodbye video, and then kind of like his interview with Keemstar. I'm not sure. Like I have a lot of videos that I want to show from YouTube by YouTube creators. I don't know if my video is going to get taken down or something, but that's just kind of how I'm going to do this live stream. You know. Okay, so let me show this to you guys. Whoever didn't know Etika, and you can just, I mean, it's like you can, I look at his goodbye video, and I'm just like, why couldn't, you know, if he could have just maintained that mentality, and not gone through with it. So this is from a YouTube channel, Green Talker. So Etika goodbye video. So a lot of people are re-uploading it. So I'm just going to play a little bit of it.
I'm sorry, yo. I'm sorry I betrayed your trust. I'm sorry I pushed you all away. I'm sorry I made a clown of myself. I apologize. I wish it didn't have to be this way. But unfortunately, I'm breaking my own rules. No bitch niggas and shit. I shouldn't have pushed so many people away. Now I've got nobody.
And it's like, you know, I know that it's like a really tough situation for him. Like he lost a bunch of subscribers. Like a lot of people were ragging on him and calling him crazy and things like that because of some things that he said while he's going through a lot of things, right? So he's saying some really crazy stuff on Twitter. But you just see this and it's like, you know, those problems get blown out of proportion. I think we, you know, as targeted individuals, we may it's weird to say, but going through all this, it really makes some of these things in life, like losing subscribers, something like that. And I don't know what it feels like to lose like 1 million subscribers or whatever. But when you go through what we're going through, it gives us a little bit of an advantage, and we have to do that. I know it sounds crazy. We have to find our advantages in this, and it really makes little things in life, the little things in life that could pile up from somebody who hasn't gone through hardcore torture every day. It makes those things seem pretty small, right? And that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. So this young man, it was like, oh, you know, his social media career is not going well. He's done some, you know, some things that were trying to be edgy and stuff, and then blocked a lot of people that he felt were close to him on social media, like on Twitter and stuff. I think he had a girlfriend that he blocked, and it just seems like the end of the world, right? Especially for young people. You know, especially for young people who haven't really gone through life and kind of understand how much things like YouTube, things like your social blade, or you know, whatever your standing on social blade, or you know, just whatever social media says about you, how unimportant those things are. They're very unimportant, but the fact is, and I say this from personal experience because I've never, you know, before this targeting, nothing ever changed me, right? I'm sure a lot of you kind of understand this. I changed things. But with this targeting, the remote neural manipulation, the conditioning, and just the hardcore conditioning in society, right? We have things in society now that can really influence and change a person, where they're not changing things they think they are, but it's getting inside of them. So whatever we do in this, how we move forward, we have to make sure that if something is changing us for the worst, that it has to send up a red flag, and you got to make it a priority. You got to make it a priority to get out of that, what's it called, like that neck lock in wrestling, that neck lock of something changing you, even the targeting. But I feel like this is, you know, it's a danger here because there are a lot of young people like Etika who are targeted, who do have remote neural manipulation in things that like maybe older people would look at and be like, that's so shallow and stupid. Nobody should worry about those things. Teenagers, young people are going to do that anyway. But then can you imagine with remote neural manipulation, with attackers or an automated system, you know, injecting things with electromagnetic frequencies, feelings, and things like that? And it's happening. I'm not saying it happened to Etika. I'm not saying that he was a targeted individual in the sense that we're targeted individuals, you know, with the directed energy weapons and the actual organized gang stalking in your community. I don't know. I'm going to the side of I don't think that he was. Everything that I'm looking at shows that he was just a young guy, and all this was just very overwhelming. And he did some things that he regretted, but he couldn't let go of them, right? So it's very important to look at, even though it's not a thing where it's like I don't think he was a targeted individual, right?
You know, I wasn't suicidal before. I really wasn't. But one thing I didn't realize was that the walls were closing around me so fast. I really had no intention of killing myself, but I would always push it too far. I guess I am mentally ill. Or maybe I'm not trying to put responsibility on it. I mean, I did a lot of wrong too. I did a lot of wrong. Everyone's got to pay for what they've done wrong at some point. Everyone's got to pay for their sins at some point. I guess mine caught up to me. I'm sorry to those of you who I betrayed. sorry for leaving such a staining legacy. I hope that my story maybe helps to make YouTube a better place somehow in the future, to where people know.
And this is going to affect YouTube. It's going to affect social media. I don't know about censorship and things like that, but I do think that it would be a good thing if Etika's death did affect you know, how social media is viewed, because a lot of younger kids, you know, they're, you know, like I said earlier, they're making these, you know, Twitch streams and everything, hundreds of thousands or millions of views and stuff like that, and it can just break a person's perception. They can become that. It's like, however these people who are you know, on their channel, right, subscribing to their channel, it's like they can be controlled by, if they do something stupid and those people are like, oh, we hate you or something like that, it can become their identity. And that is a form of not weapons targeting, you know, not organized gang stalking like from DHS Fusion Center, but it's a form of giving power over to something that shouldn't have power over you. So I guess that's like a bottom line here. If we feel something has power over us and is changing us, that's a red flag to stop. You know, an alert in your life to stop until you can take your power back. And I know that with targeted individuals, we've got weapons hitting us. We've got people messing with our brain. It's like they're going to have some control, right? They're going to have some control over our life. When we feel like that, we've got to get as much control as we can back. And the real truth of this is that we have all the control here. Some people are hitting us with weapons. They're doing this new stuff with remote neural manipulation and stuff. We have a lot more freedom in our spirit and in what we do, you know, our actions. We control those. These people cannot control those things. Now it gets kind of sticky. You know, the mind is a very powerful thing, and if you start believing that your attackers can make you do anything, you know, who knows what's going to happen? Who knows the path that your mind and then these attacks are going to bring you down, right? That's a little bit of a stickier comment, because I know that there are like kind of Manchurian candidate targeted individuals, but I speak from my targeting, how my mind has been completely, you know, completely manipulated sometimes, my emotions, how I feel. I mean, even just like before I was going to make this video, now the direct transcranial stimulation really helps it. Before I was going to make this video, my attackers make me feel super anxious. And making a video for me is not something that should make me feel anxious, because I'm just putting out information. I love you guys who come to my live stream. There's nothing to get anxious about. But it's just it's kind of a control, right? Control of the autonomic nervous system and control of impulses, visuals, and things like that. There is control there, but we can take a lot of it back. Let me just play a little bit of this. I wish that Etika could have taken this video and just, before he decided anything, and I know it gets hard if somebody's really going through horrifying depression, you know, they may not have a lot of control. They have to level that out. But I wish that he could have seen like where he was at. He was saying some very good things, you know, some very good things about his life, about how like, hey, he screwed up or whatever, and this got too big for him and all this stuff. If he could have just listened to that and then said, okay, well, let's start a new chapter, instead of doing what he did. So it's a huge loss, because he's a very smart young man who had his whole life in front of him. I hate seeing things like this. We see things like this more and more in this dark world. You know, this dark world that you know, I know a lot of Christians would say, you know, Satan just rules the world and Satan's taken over. Yeah, there's some truth in that. I just think that the evil inside of man has taken over and is manipulating all these systems, not for our good, but for our bad, not for the good of the human race, but to destroy us. And so we're seeing a lot of these really, really sad situations with a lot of conditioning, and these new systems conditioning people into doing crazy things. You know, and I guess it's a lot easier it's easy to get wrapped up in them, right? I think it's easy for young people or some of these big YouTubers to get wrapped up in it all, but it's harder to get out of it, you know. So let's play a little bit more. I just want to play it to kind of honor him. I do not think he was a targeted individual, because I've looked at a lot of it, but I haven't looked at everything. If any of you guys have different information, or you know, if he was ever talking about V2k, or he was talking about, you know, not being in control of his emotions or being hit by actually external microwaves, you know, let me know. But I really do think on this one, it was just, you know, a young person being overwhelmed by these systems of social media, and not really knowing yet, because he's so young, how to put it in perspective. That's one thing I think, if we can master that, if we can master how to rule over our own perception and perspective, that's something that we can bring to people, targeted individuals or not, of how to take on really big things, really big and dark things, but not let them conquer us. We change things, right? We need to say that we change things. When something is changing you over, and you know, this targeting is changed me. It's conditioned me in a lot of ways. Social media has conditioned me in a lot of ways, but that's a red alert. That's a red alert to take your perception back, and just use all the power within your connection with God to get your perspective back and realize, you know, how important you are, how special you are. Even if you make a YouTube video, if you're a target individual, you have a YouTube video and you have like 300 subscribers or something, it means something, right? Those subscribers mean something. I love the people that subscribe to my channel, but it's not your identity. These things, these social media platforms are getting very close, and I would say very, very close to, you know, China's like social score system. You know, somebody who gets, you know, who has a lot of influence on YouTube and is speaking a lot of truths and stuff, they could lose their channel tomorrow. And a lot of them have already, people like that. A lot of my favorite YouTubers are no longer on YouTube. And YouTube, like when I go and watch YouTube, I'm like, oh my God, this isn't the same thing. But how it's not your identity. And we can't allow this system, you know, because this system is so corrupted. Like systems in every country are so corrupted. We can't allow them to make our self-worth something they can control with algorithms, right? And that's very important for me, because it's like, well, I do pretty good with my channel. I put out a lot of important information, and that's the important point. But it's a warning, though, because that's how it was from the beginning with me. But I've kind of gotten wrapped up in like, oh, I need to get more subscribers. I need to, you know, I need to edit some video. I need to do what other popular YouTubers who are talking about stuff that's not really that important, but not targeted individuals, not something that's really going to save the human race. I need to do some of their tactics on making a good YouTube channel. And you know, I kind of went through that for a little while, and then I'm just, you go back to your basics of the right perception. You get with God and you say, God, why is this happening? You know, this thing is influencing me. And then you get back to, oh yeah, I'm just putting out information about targeted individuals and other important information that I put out, and that's it. And that's it. YouTube is not my identity. There's so many other things in life besides social media that inform your identity, and you yourself create your identity, you know. And so there is a lot to learn from this, and I hope people, you know, it's so sad that this young life was lost. He had his whole life in front of him, and he had, I guarantee you, I don't even have to know about his friends or his family. He had a lot of people who loved him very, very much. We all have to realize that, even if you feel alone, like even if you feel like there is nobody who loves you a lot, you will in your life, you know, you will. And you probably do. If you think there's nobody that loves you, you probably have a lot of people that love you, you know.
Boundaries and limits, how far things should go. In an attempt to be edgy, I fucked up my entire life. It was a fun life. I had a great time. It was great, but for it to be cut cut so short?
Yeah, there's sirens going by him. I just think that, man, I don't know. If you guys have any information, y'all think that he might have been targeted? I'm kind of leaning towards no, it was just like what was going on in his life, and maybe some mental stuff that he had to deal with. I don't know. I don't know for sure, but that's where I'm leaning. He also said, you know, he said an important thing. Oh, I can't remember. He just said it. No, I'll come back to it. My attackers are really attacking my memory right now. It's really, that's really kind of weird though. You know, the fire trucks and everything going by as he's walking down the street. Very, very suspicious, but there still are coincidences. Even though targeting doesn't leave a lot of room for them, there still are.
I know this world's gonna forget me. I know y'all are all gonna move on. Everything's gonna be good, you know. There'll be technology and games and movies I'll never see. I'll never see Attack on Titan. That last episode with Grisha was crazy too, bro. I'll never see how Attack on Titan finishes. I guess it's starting to hit me now because I'm starting to break up a little bit. I'm like, oh fuck, tears are coming, nigga. Here we go. Bitch nigga time. It's bitch nigga time. Fuck. But now I'm gonna keep my composure. There's a lot of things I won't see. A lot of people who I wanted to see grow up. You know, John, shout out to Katie and you and the kids. You could have seen them grow up. Could have seen what happened with the boys, you know? Could have seen what happened with everybody. You know? Come too far. Was it the social media? Was it the mental illness? Was it the edginess? It was a mix of all.
I wanted to say also, and I think this is as far as I'm going to go with this video. I just wanted to show, like, you know, his goodbye, just to honor him, so that people can see what he wanted to get out, you know, in his final days. But he's talking about being edgy, right? That's something that I've seen on YouTube. And I'm not gonna say any names because they're really big YouTubers, but they have a lot of important information, right? And then they start saying, well, what do I have to do to keep my subscribers coming in, right? What do I have to do to build to get more subscribers? And then they start kind of, and I have a specific person in mind, but then they just start talking about like all these kind of theoretical things and kind of things that are very, very left field, so that they can keep people's attention, right? And and I know that this isn't in Etika's case, because he was just he was a Twitch streamer and stuff like that. He was streaming video games and stuff like that. He wasn't trying to get very, very crucial, important information that the human race, so the human race won't die, you know, or won't be genocided off the earth. But he was just doing his thing, right? But there are some YouTubers who they have a lot of powerful information, but they say, well, to get subscribers, I have to do a crazy clickbait title, you know, talking about like what the Illuminati doesn't want you to know and stuff like that. And then it just becomes like non-actionable information that goes everywhere, that goes all over the place, right? I'm talking about, you know, crazy aliens one day, and you know, I do believe in extraterrestrial life and UFOs and stuff, but it becomes like I'm not trying to get important information out anymore. I'm trying to keep people's attention and keep the subscribers coming in, right? And I don't have to be careful about that, because I'll never do that. I only talk about stuff that I think is important to us. You know, even with this Etika thing, it's just like I see a young man who lost his life, and I have to put it out because it's a horrible situation. It shouldn't happen. I see these systems of control, these systems where there's algorithms to put some people up in the ranks, to knock some people down, where it's actually determining, in this young man's mind, it's determined his life. It's decided his life, and that's a huge, dangerous thing. It's a form of targeting. without the weapons or the organized gang stalking, but it's a form of targeting that the system is, doing right now, doing to young people, doing to all people. So it's very important. But we do have to be careful about that, because these social, anything that's part of the plan, you're going to be popular, right? You're going to be very popular if it's part of the plan. If it's going all over the place on these different topics with not really actionable intelligence, but hey, you have a lot of subscribers, you're making some money from it and stuff like that, that's part of the plan. And if you're really trying to get out crucial information and it's just about the information, it's going to be a lot tougher. People are going to get kind of bored of that one topic, right? But so it's, it all kind of goes in together. Etika was trying to be more and more edgy and do crazy stuff, but it got him subscribers, it got people noticing him, right? But was it for the right reasons? We do have to think about that in our society. This fame, this demon of fame, right? That latches on to some people. It makes them do things that maybe makes them popular, get some views and stuff, but are they doing something important that they want it to do in life? Are they talking about something important that can help us all? And I see these social media platforms, they reward the, hey, you might be in a different dimension. All these things that are like, oh, well, that's not really actionable intelligence. It's really left field, but it's kind of fun to watch. That's what we're getting pulled in. We're getting pulled more and more that way. And these very important topics, like people being tortured in our communities, like I'm being tortured while I sleep, V2k, very important topics. They don't get much play, right? They don't get much play because it's actual intelligence. It's something that people have to do something about, and people don't like that. Now, I know a lot of you targeted individuals that are watching this. You're different. You do want to do something about this. You do activism and stuff, and this is something that has to be actionable in our life. Learning about targeted individuals, learning about what's going on with us. For a lot of people who maybe aren't being murdered at the moment, they don't want actionable intelligence. They go to their hard job, they go to their 9-to-5 job and stuff like that. They get home, they want something where their brains can fall out, right? They want to hear about, like, they want to hear from Corey Good, who's talking about aliens underneath the ground and stuff like that. And I'm gonna make a video on him. A lot of you guys might disagree, but I do think he is a con man. I think he's a con man, and there's been many of them. And he just kind of says things. He says a lot of things that it makes them up and generalizes about them, and it's very interesting, right? It's very interesting, and a lot of people who are interested in like Corey Good, they're like, well, I don't believe anything that he's saying, but it sure is interesting. So is that what our society has become? Like, even if you're a liar and you make something interesting and entertaining, then that's good enough. You get a lot of followers. There will be a lot of people who really are speaking out against Corey Good and people like that. But they get, they're playing it by the numbers, right? They got enough people who may believe in hey, aliens took me deep into the underground to their civilization, and they told me this, and I know all this about the deep state because of them. And the reason why I do say he's a con man, and I do think David Wilcock is also a con man. He's just found his kind of niche, and he just talks about a lot of stuff, and maybe he puts out a lot of predictions so that if some of them come true, he can go back to that clip and say, oh, look, I was right about that. Now the crucial reason I think that they are con men is because they never say anything about neuroweapons. They never say anything about this grid that's going up and people being experimented on with them. If they were in contact with like aliens and stuff, the aliens would let them know about that, right? Also, just because, I don't know, they go out in the left field. I don't want to get too much off onto that topic. I probably will make a video about it though. That's what the bad guys are doing. We do get out good information on these platforms, like about V2k, about people being targeted and stuff like that. They don't even have to convince you about the crazy left field stuff. All they have to do is inject it into whatever forum people are trying to use for real information, and people will get overwhelmed and they won't be able to tell true information from completely made up information. So I mean, that's the whole plan with that. And I think we all know that. I think that's, you know, pretty much common knowledge. I want to show a little bit of this this Keemstar interview, because I think at this time Etika was actually in a behavioral in a mental facility, and he thought that he was the Antichrist, and he thought basically that this reality was reacting to him and stuff like that. And you know, Keemstar just did what Keemstar does. A lot of people are kind of blaming him for Etika's death because of something he said in the interview. He said, well, if everything is just a matrix, if everything's just a simulation, why don't you just go jump off a cliff, right? And that's another, you know, I guess I don't want to get too much off on the other topics right now, but just show y'all some of the interview. But that's another thing that I'm seeing a lot in very popular YouTube videos, right? Hundreds of thousands to millions of views, is everything is a simulation. Everything is this, you know, everything is this massive simulation, and it's technology that's millions of years above us. So it's a simulation, right? Well, I can give you something right now to go ahead and not let you be psyop by that, because that's a psyop. It's a psyop, and a lot of people are going to be angry at me. A lot of people are, you know, enjoying the whole, it could be a simulation and stuff like that. It's a psyop, because even if somebody was doing a simulation that was millions and millions and millions of years more advanced than us, the semantics of it are that it's still called creation. Even if it's this simulation that's millions and millions of years, you can just use the word creation. Now, and this could be a huge thing with Etika, thinking that everything is a simulation in reality is not really real. It's just like a video game or something. That's what a lot of people believe. And this comes off the heels of flat earth. This is one of those. This is a made by the people who are torturing us, and the people in that horrible system. They're putting this out. They put it out with Elon Musk and a lot of other people that we're in a simulation. What it does, let me tell you what it does in the worst circumstances. When people start thinking nothing's real and it doesn't matter what I do, well, hey, they can commit suicide, or they can go out and kill somebody. We need to be looking at these things in the right way. Now, that said, if you can take those things in the right compartment, right, you can look at those things and it's like, oh, well, that's interesting to think about. Okay, yeah, I do that too. It's interesting to think about a lot of things, but it can be very dangerous for people who take it in the wrong way, and it's not a priority. We have got to start looking at priorities. I feel like that is the biggest thing. And I'm not talking to you targeted individuals that are watching this. I'm just talking about humanity as a whole. We have our heads up our butts, and people are looking at things that should not be prioritized as the priority. Like, you know, aliens are cool, man. Aliens are cool, and UFOs are cool, and things like that. I think there should be disclosure. Talking about flat earth, even though I don't believe in it, you know, hey, that's cool. These are things that we don't have a lot of actionable intelligence on it, right? So it's good to look at those things. But when you have people being murdered in communities, tortured, children being sacrificed in satanic rituals, but also, you know, targeted individuals being murdered in their homes 24 hours a day, that's a priority, right? So why when, I know why this happens, because targeted individuals' videos that give out information aren't part of the plan. So they're obviously not going to skyrocket them, and they're not going to get a lot of viral attention. People, it's dark stuff. It's not something that you want to have a beer and talk about and enjoy yourself, right? But that's what's happening. People are taking these things that are kind of fun to think about. Hey, it's fun to think about, and it could help us to think in these different ways. But the priority is the people dying in your community. You know, the chances of you, and this is for non-targeted individuals, the chances of you knowing a targeted individual probably is 100%. If it's not 100%, it's close to 100%. Of either you or somebody in your family or some of your friends or people that you've talked to during the day you probably are talking to at least one targeted individual in that. So it becomes a priority. I feel like a huge social conditioning thing is to make us move towards the wrong priorities, and to, hey, look over here, and that might be very obvious to a lot of you guys. But let me just show the beginning of this. I have some other information that I want to get to. I kind of wanted to show the part, Keemstar, yeah, I told y'all about that. Keemstar actually said, well, if everything's a simulation, why don't you just go jump off a cliff? I think at the end that really didn't affect Etika's decision. But some of the stuff that happened from this interview might have,
What is up, Trouble Alert Nation? I'm your host, Killer Keemstar. Let's go right into the news. Etika has lost his mind. Like the third time. We even talked about the 2 other mental breakdowns that Etika had here at Troubler, because in each instance he went to go get help and he was good. But this is the 3rd time and he is not seeking any help. In fact, he started tweeting out crazy things yesterday. Once again, for the final time, I'm God, and so are you. Oh my.
And we see that, right? I am God and you are God. We see that in a lot of the New Age spirituality, right? It's a side note, but Etika did have he did do the 666 symbol and the one-eyed symbolism and things like that. I don't know if it's a coincidence. I guess I won't go into like the complicated spirituality. I mean, I think God lives inside of us. I think God is a part of us all, but I think that's the wrong way to say it, that you are God, right? We have a creator. There's something larger that created us. We're a part of that. God is a part of us. God is inside of us, but we ourselves are not God. That's a dangerous belief. We see what's happened with it, right? We've seen what these people who are murdering us and torturing us, a lot of them are Masonic. A lot of them, are in these, contractors, private contractors, the DOD, and they think that they're God. They don't believe in a God. They think they can do whatever they want. They control the reality of the world, and look what they do. They kill a lot of people, and then the people at the very top of the pyramid think that they're gods, and they want to, genocide a lot of people off of the planet. I want to make sure that I'm not getting a copyright thing, because I think Keemstar is pretty popular. He might do a copyright, since he's a partner of YouTube. Anybody that plays his videos might get a strike. I'm not sure.
God. Wait, I'm God. I'm God. He's God. We're all God. And when tweets like this started going out on his Twitter, a bunch of YouTubers, like the other 2 times where he had mental breakdowns, reached out to him to try to help him. But this time, he wasn't interested in getting any help. In fact, he started blocking them. He blocked esports reporter known as Slasher. He blocked Sky Williams. And he even blocked Net Nobody. And as he was blocking all of his friends and tweeting out crazy stuff, a tweet came out which was so bad, he tweeted this: F the Jews. Yikes! So after that tweet went out, okay, everyone's talking about Etika. Etika's having another breakdown. I mean, he starts trending in the United States. But not only that, he starts trending worldwide. He started making more tweets like, I just want to take you to the stars. Don't let them take me. The revolution will not be televised. And because Etika's tweeting this crazy stuff and blocking all of his friends.
Now, there were a lot of things, guys, that were kind of suspicious. Like when he was talking to the police like came to his place and busted in his door, and he was telling them like they're trying to get me. Like he was talking about the people that were actually on like his Instagram, or I think his Instagram, saying that some of the people who were harassing him, they were trying to get him, but he meant that they're trying to get the police to come and get him. So I don't think that was like a signal that he was being attacked with directed energy weapons or gang stalked by DHS fusion centers. I think it was a kind of cyber stalking that has popped up, that a lot of these people may not even be paid online. Some of them may be paid online. But in this circumstance, it could just be a bunch of people harassing him from his Instagram, you know, calling the cops on him and stuff like that. So it is a form of targeting, right? It's a form of targeting in our society, but not necessarily being hit with integrated directed energy weapon systems and being organized, stalked, like in your community by DHS Fusion Center.
And somebody, and we don't know who, called the police on him. The police showed up to his apartment, and this is the video he posted on Twitter. Roll it.
Yeah, I think somebody's trying to hurt me. I don't know. It's people online.
See, okay.
People online are trying to hurt me.
Yeah, that's what he said right there. People online are trying to hurt me. But I think that he meant calling the cops over. I'm going to look into it more. I'll tell you that much. But I do just want to let y'all know about it so you can look into it. I think everybody's going to have to start having some conversations about, you know, people losing their heads over these social media platforms. It just doesn't need to happen. But it's hard when people like, they start making their living off of this, right? And then it becomes their life. You know, their subscribers and how their subscribers feel about them become their life. And that's a dangerous thing. That means that like a social media platform that is completely controlled. You know, DARPA created the internet, right? And we know that Google, we know that YouTube, a lot of these platforms, Facebook, you know, they have direct ties to DARPA. And I guess if you want to call it the deep state, but I just, you know, the military industrial complex.
Online, people online. Don't let them hurt me, okay? Because they keep calling the cops on me. The people online that are calling, they hate me for some reason. I don't know why they hate me, though. All I do, I make porno, though. I make a lot of, so I'm really rich. I have a lot of money. I make a lot of porn. So that's probably why.
It's like impossible not to laugh at that. So anyhow, the police have him surrounded. He's trapped in his apartment, right? And the police are trying to get through. I got horrible reviews.
You know what happens in the movie Bird Box?
Go ahead, explain it.
Humanity confronts the fifth dimensional being. They confront a being which doesn't make sense. Think about this, Keemstar. You're chilling right now, drama alert, you got everything set up. Probably got, well, is your popcorn out? Probably got your little, but well, your sub counter probably ain't there anymore. I don't know what your setup look like. I haven't watched it in like 2 days, but I mean, maybe it's some different. Anyways, Keemstar, you're sitting there, right? And you're asking yourself, oh, what? Let me go outside today. You want to go out and get some food, Keemstar? Are you hungry? So you go out and get food. And guess what happens when you open the front door? You see eternity swinging on maybe your playground swing set, or you see eternity sitting in your car. Eternity. You see something that doesn't belong, something more powerful than you. A lot of human beings can't handle something outside of their understanding, and that's why they fear what they don't understand. Now, in the movie Bird Box, rather than humanity killing what they don't understand kills humanity. Human beings die in the movie as soon as they lay eyes on eternity. Comprehend it. Your minds are not advanced enough yet to process what I'm talking about. The only way you can do so is if you give your body the sufficient nutrients that it needs.
And you know, guy, it's just what he's talking about. It's interesting to talk about things like that, right? About what we really are, what our spirit is connected to, new ways of thinking, you know, quantum fields that maybe we, you know, science doesn't know about, fifth dimension, the fourth dimension, but we have to keep perspective. You have to balance it, and you've got to stay grounded, because everything will feel disconnected, and you'll be like, what is this life? Why am I even living this life if everything is, you know, is a simulation or fifth dimension? And those things are cool. We've got to keep anything like that in its place. Don't let any new ways of thought change you where you're not in control. Now things are going to change us, right? I mean, I think we're all going through a spiritual awakening. I think that because there's so much darkness in the world. Technology and money has been, you know, gathered by the top of the pyramid, and there's so much evil going on. I think there's a balance in the world with human beings, where a lot of human beings are really waking up and their spirits are getting stronger. Things are happening that really are magic from God, you know, magic from God. But when we're experiencing those things, you gotta, you know, balance it with hard, cold reality that people are suffering, that you can suffer, that you are a human being, and just not let it get away from you. Of course, things are going to change us, and if you know, we got to make sure that things change us for the better, and then it's a good thing. Then it's a good relationship with whatever's changing you for the better. When something starts changing you and it's out of your control, that's when, you know, red flags go up. Prioritize you changing things, you know. I'm going to show this last part, kind of the end of it, but I just wanted to show you all about that. It's certainly a huge tragedy. I don't think that he was targeted in the way that we're targeted, but it's a form of how kind of these social media platforms, these situations can end up targeting people, can end up taking control of people, right? And we just gotta remember, these social media platforms are controlled. I mean, they're controlled by YouTube, by Google, and by, you know, a lot of corporations connected to them. And there's, you know, a lot of other connections, you know, with Facebook and DARPA and things like that. Take them for what they are. Use them for whatever good we can use them for, but don't ever make it your identity. You're a whole lot more. And Etika was a whole lot more. And I think that if he could have made it through this and gotten help, you know, I think this was like maybe the third or fourth time he said that he was going to commit suicide. So I think people were a little bit confused whether or not he was just trying to be edgy or whatever. And I don't think he got that final help. Nobody knew where he was. But if he could have just gotten through this, I mean, it could have just opened him up to a much better life. A better life than maybe his life would have been without all the social media and all the bad things that came with it. He could have learned a lot from it. So never in a situation, even if you feel totally destroyed and you feel like it destroyed your life, humans have a humongous strength to rebuild themselves, to renew themselves. In the name of Jesus Christ, renew your mind, right? There's that Bible verse about it. And then there's also the, you know, in the Passion of the Christ, where he falls down, he's carrying the cross, and he tells Mary, his mother, you know, I make all things new, right? So through Jesus Christ, he can renew our life. You know, we can renew our lives. So no matter how bad it feels, you know, talk to people, tell your friends, and get help. And I know probably you guys in chat, you know, you're dealing with targeting and some hardcore stuff, some very hardcore stuff. I do worry sometimes that, you know, some targeted individuals feel like they have no one to talk to, but you do. You got a lot of people to talk to. If you go to freedomfortargeted.org, I'm sure there's a helpline number on there, and there's tons of helpline numbers popping up, conference calls every night. Never feel like you don't have a place to come and talk. Even just my chat room, you know, come in here and talk and tell people and you know, exchange emails or whatever, so we can, you know, so we can help each other, right? And I'm just going to show the end right here.
But you can't jump to the truth overnight. You have to go little by little. Was Rome built in a day, Kimi? No, it wasn't. Rome took a long time to build.
So why did you jump to the end? Why did you jump to the end? Why didn't you go little by little?
I didn't. Keemstar, I've been doing YouTube for 13 years, probably longer than you.
Well, I've been doing it for about 11.
I didn't. Way longer than you, Keemstar. I am a household name. I've been on this platform for eons. I made my YouTube account days after YouTube was made. I've been on this platform, and I've tried my best to not step on any toes. I've always tried my best to consider other people. I don't want to hurt anybody. I never wanted to. I always shied away from whenever people would make fun of people, and it just felt bad. It's like, why would you tear that person down? Be nice to people. I know. I always thought I was weird, because why would I never want to jump to hurting someone? I always just wanted to make content and have fun. And I realize now,
you can crack jokes about people and still have fun. It's not being mean.
Yeah, but you're mean about it. You're mean about it. You're mean about it. Sometimes you're heartless.
Sometimes I am mean about it, but it's still funny.
Yes, that's
it. Still funny.
That's
it's still funny. It is funny though.
Look, I do dark.
And that's the thing. I mean, Keemstar is pretty mean about it. I mean, he's a drama channel. Look at how successful he is, right? Look at how successful he is just showing drama. Just go into the hardcore drama. Does that tell us something? Is it tells me something. Even in my own life, I'm like, ooh, I want the juicy information, right? I want to watch that YouTube video where people get into a fight or something like that. Me. Like, and I've always been logical and peaceful, and let's look at logical information. But that's what trauma does. So not just to targeted individuals, but people who are not targeted individuals. That's why this guy Keemstar is so popular. People are like so traumatized and burnt out by these crazy systems that they constantly need something, the most intense thing, to keep their attention, right? So our society it keeps building up in that way, which kind of confuses me, because I would think that the topic of targeted individuals and people being hit with neuroweapons is like extremely interesting, right? But it's like, it's too interesting. It's too on the nose. It's too sci-fi. So people are like, well, that's probably not true. It's too, too interesting. I think that's getting better, but you got to understand, I mean, this is what these social media platforms creates, right? People like Keemstar, where he doesn't see it as people's lives, and it's not important to their lives. It's something he does for money. And it's like, he's like, well, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen type of guy. But some people, like Etika, they really take some things to heart. So, I mean, I think the best solution for this is to just look at Keemstar, look at how he thinks about all this. He thinks about it the right way. Is he doing the right thing? Probably not. It's probably a little bit, it's bad. But he sees these social media platforms where it's like, this isn't really real. We may be getting, and for me, it's more real because I'm getting out important information. But for a lot of the social media, it just cannot affect who you are so much. And we live in this society where these things, social media or stardom in Hollywood or something, it's just a person's identity. And I don't think that's the way that human beings are supposed to go. Why it's so popular when somebody gets popular, to follow them and they're a star now. It's part of the plan. It's part of the plan to really turn people into these golden calves, and we all spend our time, oh, that person's so cool, or I hate that person, so I want to watch what they do. And it's part of the plan to destroy society, so we don't see each other for what we really are, spiritual beings, and we're all important. We all have a destiny. We were all born in this world. The top of the pyramid wants to make it where, like, if you're not a star, you're a nobody. And to become a star, you got to, go on YouTube and do crazy stuff. And don't worry about, like, real information, real actionable information. You got to make your information really entertaining, even if it's not true, right? And all of us, not just targeted individuals, all of us need to kind of look at that. Like, kind of just back away from it and say, like, what do we really want to be? How are we gonna survive? How are we gonna make humanity better? And it's a tall order. It's a tall order, but it doesn't mean we can't talk about it.
Humor, and I don't kill people like you do sometimes. You kill that old man by calling him a.
That's very. That's weird that he said that, because that's very predictive of what happened. It's very weird.
Get out of here. That's ridiculous.
Listen, shut up. Shut up.
Shut up. I'm not going to shut up. We got a story wrong for about 45 minutes. The video was taken down.
Keemstar is such a little known.
I know the spot. Shut up. I know the situation. I watched you. Yeah. And then you apologize. You went on the stream and you told the audience to go and give it love. You tried. Yeah.
I'm not shutting up. I'm not shutting it up.
Yeah.
You just said something that was so much.
Okay, so what happens is Etika hangs up. And this was like a month before he died, a month before the suicide. Yeah, something like that. But it ends up like Keemstar and him ended up kind of patching things up. I don't, I think this had a lot to do with it. I don't think it was the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't think Keemstar should be blamed for his death. A lot of people are going to do that. They're going to blame Keemstar for his death. But this is what social media is, right? So people got to get their perspectives in check. We can't really ask these systems that are out of control, oh, well, I hope they change, right? I hope they change too. We've got to be the ones that change for the better, to change to, okay, that gets kind of complicated because I'm saying not to let things change you, but changing for the better so that you can change these systems, so that you can do something in a creative way that's actually the right way, inject it and infect it into that system that's out of control. But all the time you're doing that, you got to have the right perspective. You got to be holding on to God. You got to be holding on to God, knowing that he's going to help you, knowing that this is, all these systems are out of whack and out of control, and just not to let them infect you. And that goes for the extreme targeting too. And I want to tell y'all, before I go to the next thing, maybe I'll read some of y'all's comments. Hold on. But I want to tell y'all this doc of detox. I'm taking this stuff called pineal. Now they have doc of detox and then something called divine vine, and it gets heavy metals out. And I told you guys I started taking this like a couple of days ago, maybe 4 days ago or something like that. It's really helping. It makes it feel, because we know that we're getting heavy metals, nanoparticulates, smart dust, and all these things. And maybe you have non-consensual implantation within your body area network or something like that. But with these heavy metals in our system passing the blood-brain barrier, our attackers have this very strong catalyst to do this remote neural manipulation, to hook into our brain, to do this neural amplification and make us feel horrible and stuff like that. I felt like since I've been taking this pineal stuff, I felt like a lot more disconnected from my attackers. The V2k hasn't gone down, but the feeling of my brain, like my thinking being narrowed down by remote neural manipulation, has eased up a little bit. Like I think I was completely toxified with heavy metals and toxins and things like that. And it's just been a buildup. It's been a buildup over years, which makes their attack stronger. So heavy metal cleanse. I know I say it like on every video. I probably will say it. I'll just keep saying it. A lot of people in chat know how to get heavy metals out. I'm not saying that you need to take this product, Doc of Detox, Divine Vine, and then I'm taking the pineal one, but getting heavy metals out, so important. It just feels like, because like when my attackers do V2k, then they overlay an EEG of anxiety or response to whatever the V2k is saying. Also, when we're gang stalked, you're going to get gang stalked by people with a one headlight car. Your attackers are going to try and overlay an EEG of anxiety, some kind of response to that. So if we can get those heavy metals out, take those catalysts away, it can weaken those injections when our attackers are trying to get reactions out of us from things that they're putting in our environment and stuff like that. Yeah, let me read some comments from you guys. Maybe I'll just read them from my tablet. It's easier to scroll up and down. So Barefoot Sungazer says, hi TI community, sending out my love and protection here from San Diego, California. Things are really weird here, and I wanted to ask if anyone here has had experience with their pets being microwaved as a means of upsetting the pet owner who's a target. Yes, Barefoot Sungazer, a lot of people, a lot of target individuals experience that. I experienced that. I don't know how badly my dog gets hit, but she lost her hearing. Like when I was in the house that burnt down, that eventually burnt down, and I had all these, I had the space blankets. I forgot what it's called. The aluminum polyester blankets and corrugated steel, painted with aluminum, all that. And we'd both sleep in that thing, me and my dog, and they would just hit me with the high pitched sound, just surrounded. I was surrounded by microwaves, and she lost her hearing while in that house. And now sometimes I'll see her eyes will be so dilated, and she's just looking at me like shaking. And so I'll go over and I'll touch her head, and the center of her forehead gets really hot. And I'll actually feel a stream of energy go into her head. So, my attackers hit my dog. A lot of targeted individuals have talked about, you know, their pets being murdered. That's a huge thing. I guess I don't want to go into my situation too much. I don't want to say anything where my attackers feel like they have to respond to it, because I really love my dog. But yes, that happens to a lot of pets, and it is one of the it's a very common protocol, you know, because you love your pets. And I think that it's like, you know, I've seen a lot of target individuals say that like their kids are saying that they're hearing voices and stuff like that. I think that it's a common thing now to hurt target individuals' children or their spouse or like my family, my mom, my dad, because that's, if they can't bring you down right away, right? They want to bring down people around you so that it hurts you, hurts your heart, hurts your psychology and everything like that. It's sickening. It's just very, very sickening. So, Eric Exec says, Eric EXE says, it's really sad when families turn on us and know deep down what's going on, but are they instructed to keep lying to us? Who knows? Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of target individuals out there, their family members have turned on them, or they may think that they're also doing this. But I do want y'all to keep in mind, I just want to tell you, you know, my parents are not gang stalking me. They're actually being hit. Now, when I first got put into, like, I called the FBI, I was calling the FCC, I was reporting my neighbors like every night. I was just going after this thing. And so then somebody in the coroner's office, because probably a lot of people don't know this, but people in the coroner's office in your area, in your city, they determine who goes to the mental ward and who doesn't. A lot of people don't know that. There's an ex-FBI in there, put me into the short-term behavioral center, and I stayed in there for like 2 weeks, and I was gonna get out, but they convinced my mom to keep me in there for an extra week. And all she did was care about me. She didn't know that this was going on. So what I'm asking you guys to do is try and separate your family's acting in the wrong way or not believing you, and your family's actively gang stalking you or hurting you, because those are two very different things. Sometimes our families can react in ways that hurt us, but they're actually trying to help us. They don't understand the situation. So that obviously their action taken is going to be a bad one or something like that, but they may really want to help you. So we gotta be careful about that. But I know a lot of target individuals, you know, they say their families, you know, could be in on it. That's a tough one. That's a whole I need to make a whole video just about that. Talk about my family. I've been lucky, but I kind of question, because I've heard this from a lot of target individuals, and I just heard it from Matthew. Oh God, I got to show that video in my next video. He's from he started getting targeted in South Africa. He started getting targeted in South Africa, and he was saying how like a lot of his friends and his family members were told that that he was under investigation for maybe being in some kind of Chinese mafia or something like that. Because some of his friends actually told him, they were like, well, you know, we had authority figures come and tell us that they were doing an investigation on you, that you might have been in a Chinese gang or something like that. And I do wonder at times if maybe my parents, like some authority figures come to my parents and said, well, we are surveilling him because he did this or he did that. I wonder sometimes, but I don't think that my attackers in this program chanced it with my parents. I think that they were like, well, we may go to his parents and tell him that he's under surveillance, but then he's telling them all this stuff. They may actually, like, you know, tell him and give him more evidence. So I think what they did, I think what they decided over a period of time is we're just going to target his parents too. So I feel like if you have people close to you, I don't want to, I know that there's some exceptions to this rule, but I feel like if there are people close to you, they're either going to try and turn them on you or they're going to start targeting them. And that's the two options. I hate that. Like, I don't even like saying that. I'm like, there are exceptions. There are people in your life that will not get targeted, that will not turn against you, that will just be there. But I've just seen, like, I know one of my good friends who's a target individual, they're targeting the hell out of his wife. but his wife doesn't want him talking about this stuff, and it's a mess. So Beer and Gene, and hello guys. Hey Eric EXE and Doreen Jen in PA. Barefoot Sungazer, welcome. Welcome. I'll probably be just doing live streams for a couple of weeks since I haven't had my live stream back here. I don't know if I have to get something really short out. I'll just do a regular video. But so Biren Jen says people are blackmailed to keep them in, hence them trying to film all we do. Yeah. So Biren Jen says they want us to die or join them. Yeah. With mine, I just like, I mean, I put the last 3 videos, like after I put them out, I'm getting hit really, really hard. I'm getting punished by my attackers for putting out good information. I still don't think they can kill me. I use defenses, so I'm like, well, maybe it's that for that reason. But I also think that they have to have clearance. Like, I think that these people work for contractors and subcontractors. They have managers above them. Like, so the people microwaving you, even if it just seems like they're on their own and they're making the decisions, they have a manager above them making decisions. So the manager and people higher up have to say, okay, you can go ahead and take this targeted individual out. Now, what I think that we see a lot of times is where, like my dad getting that aneurysm, right, after a week of high-pitched sound in his ears, headaches and everything, he got an aneurysm and almost died. It wasn't part of the plan, right? They were going to just start targeting him and making him experience that and screwing his life over too. But there was a reaction from his body. His blood-brain barrier was just, did not interact well with what they were doing, and it almost caused his death. I think a lot of targeted individuals that we see out there, like Elvira, I don't know if a lot of you guys know, but she passed away way too early in her life, and she was poisoned. They were, putting gases in her home and targeting her with directed energy weapons, and her body just gave out, right? So in that case, it wasn't like the order came down to take her out, but her body just couldn't take it after so many years, right? So I think the bigger percentage of what we're probably seeing when targeted individuals die is their body giving out. Something goes wrong. Something goes wrong with their heart and they die. Wasn't necessarily what their attackers were planning, but oh, who cares? Nobody's going to find out, right? So I think that's what we're seeing a lot of times. That's why it's so important to get defenses, ground, Dave Case's CD. This is working very well with all the other stuff I'm doing. This headgear, if people haven't seen me wear this, this is like less EMF headgear, but there's other things too that can create a barrier. You want to create a barrier all around your head, your ears, your neck, and everything like that. So there's defensive things that you can do to make sure that you don't that your body doesn't just give out. Sometimes I feel like my body's going to give out. Yeah, I need to do a defense video and just go through everything. So Barefoot Sungazer, Eric EXE says, hello, Kyle from Minnesota. And welcome, guys. Trevor D. Hitchin says, makes for a better story, Barefoot. What'd she say? Okay, Barefoot Sungazer said, in order to put a stop to the atrocities that he knew were going to begin taking place on his creation, our planet, what if we were all sent here by God specifically to put a stop to this madness? That is a great comment. That is a great comment and a great perspective and way of looking at things. A great perspective. Why were we born this time, right? People ask the question, why was I born? Like, and they ask that question like in the 1800s or something when things, things were crazy. People died for a lot of reasons, but there wasn't this accumulation of technology and power by top of the pyramid trickling down shit and tyranny on everybody. Why were we born in this specific time, and why were we targeted? And I think that we can go through all the reasons of we can go through all the man-made reasons, right? They're trying to advance these weapons. They use a certain profiling system. They try and pick people who are intelligent, who maybe aren't as connected to their families as other people, so there won't be as many, they're kind of disconnected and isolated and stuff like that. There's a lot of reasons why you're targeted by profiling, And in my case, I just had a surgery and got a non-consensual human implant. In somebody else's case, it could be because they worked at a certain company. Like this guy, Matt, and I can't remember his last name, but he's like a half Asian guy that started getting targeted in South Africa. He was like the best worker at his job, and I think he was like a programmer or something like that. He worked with computers, and he was the best on his team. But he left. He had to leave. He didn't want to do that job anymore. So the people that were the head of that company had connections to this program in South Africa and started targeting him because they didn't like it that he just left that company. So there's all these different situations. If you come out and whistleblow where you have a lot of important information, I'm seeing that in like people that are like extremely popular with whistleblowing information. Kevin Shipp, tons of man-made reasons for the targeting. Neuroweapons, mapping the brain, finding out more about the brain and nervous system. But then there's like, why did God put us here? And what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to get really close with God. And I've said this before, but it's like it's between you and God what He wants you to do with this, And I think this is it's like one of those things in the reality of our world where everything was like kind of going good, and now we're bottlenecking, right? We're bottlenecking, and it's like awakening, people waking up and finding out how spiritually powerful they are against like the material world, the top of the pyramid, collecting technology, collecting information, collecting money. They've been doing this for a long time, trying to destroy us. I mean, trying to control and destroy the human beings that they want to destroy, to come out with whatever they want, to come out with whatever their idea of a utopia is after all that crap happens, the master plan. But our awakening is happening right in there. So just this time period and what is happening, you've got to know that you are very important. And I know it's a thing. I sometimes say it and I'm like, no way, but God will not give you anything that you can't handle. We don't know, like, because a lot of targeted individuals die, but we don't know what their job is when they pass on to the next life. We just don't know the balance. So we've got to have that mindset of what Barefoot Sungazer said. It's important. And God will give you the strength to get through this in a lot of ways that you never thought of. It's just holding close to Him, knowing what Jesus said was true. He said, you will be persecuted. You will be persecuted like me, but don't fear, a helper will come. The Holy Spirit that lives within us all. And that's a big thing. Let me move on, guys. I may just do some live streams where I just talk to y'all and go through your comments. But I do have a lot of stuff I need to get to. Let's see. Barin Jin, the badge report says Tom Green, Japan 4. Tom Green's in the chat. Oh, Badger, I'm gonna make you a. I can't do it from this computer. Do you have any mods in there? If y'all want to kick Tom Green out, y'all can. I don't really care. Tom Green is an obvious agent provocateur. He's an obvious person. He's been commenting on my videos for like 4 years on something that he doesn't believe is happening, and he's always commenting on them. So, it's an obvious one. I leave him there because, yeah, and Tom Green, I leave you in the comments because I want people to see that. I want them to see a video I made 3 years ago where you were commenting and saying you thought we were all crazy. And then I want them to see the video today where you're in chat commenting about how we're crazy. Because something you don't believe in, you don't think is happening, yet you're in every comment section. There's something very wrong there, Tom Green. And I don't hate you very much. You always keep it kind of clean, but you are lying because we are not schizophrenic. This is actually happening in life. And if you had any kind of courage, you would understand that. If you had any kind of courage and you really did care about the human race, you would care about this because it's coming to everyone. So the faster that humans know that there are neuroweapons and things that can hit us remotely, the safer we're going to be. The safer we're going to be, the safer that committees can open up and say, this is the way these weapons can be used, the more kind of detection devices we can have so that when somebody is targeted, it won't be for long because it can be detected. We can find the people doing it. It has to be stopped. It has to be stopped. You know, there's so little, there's so few of people like you left, Tom Green, that are just like, oh, you guys are crazy, because you're going up against so much concrete evidence. You're going up with so many testimonies. You're going up against Directed Energy Summit. You left a comment on my Directed Energy Summit video saying, oh, you people really are crazy. I'm showing Booz Allen Hamilton talking about directed energy weapon systems programs. Now they're talking about some of the ones that are socially acceptable. They can't say that they're experimenting on humans, but the logic here is many targeted individuals were talking about being hit with microwaves and directed energy before Booz Allen Hamilton started having summits about it, right? So schizophrenic people don't just have this imagination where they can predict the future. Like, oh, they're schizophrenic and they have a big imagination, but then the actual weapons that they say that they're being hit with are actually being talked about everywhere. And there's huge contractors connected to the DoD who are taking these contracts, getting subcontractors under them. And then definite documentation from Air Force Research Laboratory, which is just one of the armed forces that is, you know, naval intelligence is researching this, you know, probably the Marines and stuff like that. There's just too much evidence for you to be a real person. You'd have to be very, very stupid, Tom Green, to say what you say with all this evidence. And with me, I've made almost 1,000 videos. Do I look schizophrenic? I've struggled, and I've, you know, been strong and tried to be as strong as I could to get this information out. My psychiatrist doesn't want to see me. She only wants to see me every 3 weeks because she knows what I'm saying is true, and she'd rather just not have to deal with it. These things, this is true. We have to do it. And targeted individuals, Tom Greens are so few and far between. Focus on the people who know this is happening. It's the right thing to do to put it out. It is not irresponsible. There is mental illness in society, and there is targeting. Some mentally ill people will latch on to this. It just does happen. That's not our fault. That's not my fault. They shouldn't have started hitting people with remote neuro weapons if they didn't want some people who are mentally ill and impressionable to grab onto it. Now, that's a small percentage. The people who are really mentally ill who see this and then kind of say, well, oh, I'm a target, but that's a very small percentage. Those people who say they're targeted individuals are actually targeted individuals and actually, you know, fighting against this torture and things like that. I would never have a one-on-one conversation with you, Tom, because I know what you are, man. Okay, let's go to the next thing, guys. Let's see. The Badger Report says, okay, Trevor Hitchin said they blinded me with science. That's funny, Trevor. Blinded me with science. And then let's see. Badger Report says, I don't get too many trolls coming into my live chats because I always block them. I think they gave up after a while. I'm going to make you a moderator, the Badger Report. I need to make some of you other guys moderators, but I'm just going to get to know y'all better first. Barefoot Sungazer says, Vulcan Wolverine, all of this caused me to lose my job, and I'm struggling currently to keep my apartment. I only have tinfoil as a defense. Any dirt poor man's protection devices? So desperate for relief. Yes, Barefoot Sungazer, yes. The grounding stuff from earthing.com, for $35, you can get 2 body bands. Put them on your left leg. Also, Dave Case's CD. Go to antitinnitusv2k.com. You may feel like you're getting just external hits, and you may have like a high-pitched sound, and it feels like it's going to just bust open your head. If you get that Dave Case's CD, it can really, really block out a lot of the remote neural manipulation, the high-pitched sound, things that they're doing to your nervous system and your deep brain. You might still have some external hits, but grounding can help with that. There's some really cheap things. I'll make a video soon. I guess I'll do a live stream where we just talk about defenses, and I'll just, you know, and I'll go through as much as I can, but I'm just not going to be able to cover everything. I guess I can cover everything that I use for defense. We'll do that. Yeah, so Barefoot Sun Gator says, damn, $35. That's way, way too much. Ooh, for me right now. Think poor man like can't feed myself right now. Well, Dave Case's CD is free, so you just have to pay for shipping. Yeah, some things that we have to try out do cost a little bit of money. I'll try and work on some solutions. Yeah, it really sucks, man. I'm sorry, Barefoot Sun Gazer. I know how hard this is. I'd say right now, probably aluminum foil is your best bet. Velostat's very cheap. VELOSTADT is also very cheap. It's a carbon-based thing that you could probably, if you use a blanket, you can sew it into the blanket, or you could mold it into some headgear for when you sleep. You probably wouldn't be able to wear it out, but you can buy these big rolls for like $10. You'd probably need to buy like 3 big rolls, which would cost like $30 though. And I would recommend grounding first. I'd really recommend grounding first if you can. So XX says the eyeglasses from lessemf.com help against external attacks on the eyes. Yes, I have those. Yeah, they really do. It does suck. Some of this stuff, it may cost you like $35 or something like that. I know the pineal gland stuff was like $55 to get heavy metal. So some of this does, like, we do need a little bit of income. That's why, well, maybe what I would suggest to you now, Barefoot Sun Gazer, is maybe try and get on Social Security. If you don't have a job and you have no money and you're going through this, I would go ahead and start the process of trying to get getting disability, because that's how I make it. I make it with disability. Biren Jin says something good. Take back your free will verbally. Ask for the Holy Spirit. It helps a lot. Yeah, totally. Totally. It's the helper. It's the helper, and it's that small, still voice inside of your heart that tells you the right thing to do. I know that sounds a little bit like too sugary, too cheesy, but seriously, that small, still voice. God's not going to come to you in a big, booming voice like Moses and Noah. He's going to talk to you through the place where you talk to yourself, right? Like all this craziness, V2k, there's some thoughts in my head that aren't mine and stuff like that. It gets confusing. When that gets too confusing, I go here, and it works. Like it really works. And I don't know the science of that, the science of your spirit, your quantum energy connected to God. I was talking about earlier, oh, well, I think people need to prioritize and maybe not talk about life being a simulation, maybe, not talk about it, but put it in its place. Talk about it when the main priority, when we stop children from being tortured and stuff like that, then we can explore all those things, or explore them when you're doing that, but make the importance of the priority. I love those things. Like there's a lot of stuff we need to reach for. So I don't want to shut down anything that's like left field. There's a lot of stuff we need to reach for that we don't have the verbalization for, that's going to help us through this. And that's like when people say, follow your heart, listen to God, listen to Jesus Christ when he speaks through your heart. There's a science to it that we may never figure out, but our connection to our Creator. And he can tell you some great things. He can lead you to survival, and even better than survival, surviving yourself and helping people too. So it's so, what she said is so, or what he said, I'm not sure if it's oh, Jen, yeah, what she said is super important. Yeah. Okay, guys, I'm gonna move on here. Just got like 2 more things I want to show y'all. I'm gonna share my screen, and I do want to show these videos with Randy Quaid. I do believe that he is a targeted individual, like 100%. 100%, I think that Randy Quaid is a targeted individual, and he's made these videos. If you want to, guys, look, he has a YouTube channel, Randy Quaid. He has like 8.2 thousand subscribers. So y'all go and subscribe to Randy Quaid, because I know he's a targeted individual. He doesn't talk about the weapons a lot. He's talked about the gang stalking and star killers. Like he's talking about Hollywood star whackers. So if you've looked at his whole kind of trajectory, after he kind of got out of the acting business, him and his wife have been targeted severely. Like their properties have been taken away by their lawyers and stuff. And it seems to be that they've been put in this program, and his activities and the things that he does have seemed not out there, you know, but he's very angry, and he's doing some stuff that maybe normal people would see as crazy stuff. And I think this is a reaction from remote neural manipulation. He may not know. He may not know that he's being targeted. He may know. I'm not sure. But let's take a look at this. A lot of people were talking about it. A lot of people were talking about it and like calling him a crazy wizard or something. He's still a funny guy. Like even when he kind of goes off into left field and stuff like that, and he's not wrong about police media corruption. He's still funny, you know. I do worry about it though, because he has all the hallmark signs of these neuro weapons being used on him. So let's watch this. You know, I don't know. I may try and get in touch with him and see. Oh, that'd be great. If I could get in touch with him and he actually knows about this stuff. If he could get into the targeted individual community. I mean, and that's one thing we do desperately need. And you know, we need a lot of these people who have clout. You know, like Isaac Cappy. He came in and he was talking about satanic ritual abuse, and he was getting a lot more people looking into it, right? He was definitely targeted. There's a lot of people who are around Isaac Cappy before he died, where they both experienced V2k and things like that. And I know that Isaac Cappy was definitely targeted, and it makes me very, very suspicious because of the motor control that a lot of TIs experience. It doesn't seem to be part of my protocol, like moving my limbs and stuff like that. They've kind of moved my arm and done some things to show me they could do it, but it just doesn't seem to be part of my protocol. My protocol is right now is extensive remote neural manipulation. It's trying to get that hook into my mind, my autonomic nervous system, and deep brain structures, you know. But I know Isaac Cappy was, but he got a lot of eyes on the problem of satanic ritual abuse. There's so many. There are going to be so many people who have some kind of fame. They're at a certain level of fame who are also targeted, and we need to bring them in. That's why, you know, I know a lot of people say like, oh, well, you know, we don't really have a TI community. We need to try, guys. Like, I understand there are a lot of infiltrators and stuff like that, and it doesn't seem like a community sometimes. It seems like everybody's kind of just doing their own thing. We really need to try and do some, you know, a lot of people have already done this and are working on it, but get some groups together that you trust, work on group projects. We got to try and make this a community, you know. I do see it as a community, but I just count the real targeted individuals who are really cool and are doing really good stuff and are trying to go about this. I see that they're part of the community. And then, you know, there might be some infiltrators that I do think are real targeted individuals. I would not consider them a part of the community. I would see them as a danger to the community. But y'all know me, man. I talk about it sometimes, and I'll yell. My whole priority here, we got to go down the middle of the field. If we start like fighting with everybody that you think is an agent, you're gonna just stay in that same place on the field. You know when like a play is run and the offense goes into the defense and they just sit in one spot. That's what we kind of get when we start going after infiltrators. Now, I mean, tell people that are close to you and put it out if you want to, but I would, you know, I don't know. That's one of the biggest obstacles, you know, we have. But let's look at this, because I mean, a lot of people are going to say he's unhinged, right? A lot of people who are not targeted individuals. With this case, though, unlike Etika, and I really hope nothing that's why these two situations, they're not comparable, right? Randy Quaid is alive. He may be being hit with neuroweapons, but he seems like a very strong person, an older person. He can put things into perspective. So I'm not saying like Randy Quaid's going to do something crazy or hurt somebody or hurt himself. You know, God forbid, and let's all pray for him. But the things that I've seen, and I'll maybe make a more detailed video about it, but the things that I've seen really do point to Randy Quaid definitely being a targeted individual who's being gang stalked, but not only that, also being hit with neuroweapons.
Just revealed that the failing and desperate New York Times was feeding false stories about me and those associated with me to the FBI. This just shows the kind of unprecedented hatred I have been putting up with for years from this crooked newspaper. It's what they have done. Legal? Quote, this Russia collusion hoax was perpetrated in part by people inside the government and in part by a compliant fake news media. End quote. Molly Hemingway. The facts are starting to pour out. Stay tuned.
Now, guys, I'm not sure what's going on here. The only thing that I can say as a targeted individual is, like, you know, he's having some ideas in his head that he's going to he's going to put out in his YouTube videos, right? This one, it seems like he's channeling Donald Trump. It's not like he really believes that he's channeling the spirit of Donald Trump, but he's like talking in the perspective of if he's Donald Trump, because he's talking about, you know, the Russian collusion and all that. I really want to reach out to him, because if he does know anything about these neuroweapons or is being hit by them, he could find a really good place and a lot of people who would really support him and allow him to speak out about all of these things with, you know, with the TI community. So I you know, he's a comedian, so, you know, with these things that he's doing, I don't know. Like, it's a confusing one, because he does like to be funny. He's been messed with. He's been gang stalked. I think he's been hit with directed energy weapons. So, you know, he's just speaking out. He's speaking out against corruption. And a lot of people who are being hit with these neuroweapons and directed energy weapons, who know, some of them know what's up. They know that they're being attacked by something. They'll talk about everything else. They'll talk about corruption, but they don't want to talk about this, because they see that, you know, people like Tom Green and stuff, who have that kind of mentality. Let's watch the next one. Let's see what some of the comments say. Stop drinking the Kool-Aid, man. You used to be cool. Now you're just effing strange. Okay, I think he's reading Trump tweets. I still read any Trump tweet in this voice in my head. Can never go back now. It's stuck in there for good now. Let's watch this other one. I hope he's okay. Like, I mean, boy, but with this stuff, and I know it's like when you know that somebody's getting gang stalked, like, or when I do, I don't know about you guys. Y'all talk about it in chat. But when I know somebody's getting gang stalked and harassed and cyber stalked and stuff like that, I'm like, they have to be getting hit with neuroweapons, because if, you know, if this program is gang stalking you and trying to destroy your life that way, they want to do the remote neural monitoring so they know how it's affecting you, or they go ahead and just do remote neural manipulation, remote neural monitoring to try and destroy you and to see the effects of the destruction. I'm like 100% on this one. I'm 100% on that Randy Quaid is a targeted individual, like most of us, you know, that are in the chat and watching this video.
So sad that the Democrats are putting wonderful Hope Hicks through hell for 3 years now, after total exoneration by Robert Mueller and the Mueller report. They were unhappy with the result and want a do-over.
Boy, that light's bothering me.
Fair.
That flashing light on his face.
Costly to her. Will it ever end? Why aren't they asking Hillary Clinton why she deleted and acid washed her emails after getting a subpoena from Congress? Anybody else would be in jail for that, yet the Dems refuse to even bring it up. Rigged House Committee.
Okay, guys. So, and I'm definitely going to do like a more detailed either live stream or video on everything that's happened to Randy Quaid. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and watch this. But I'm going to make a more detailed video on that, so I can just show all the evidence of why I'm very sure he's a targeted individual.
My wife, Abby, and I have been the victims of criminal activities perpetrated by a small network of individuals who are out to destroy us personally, professionally, and financially. This network of individuals is manipulating the banking system and the criminal justice system for the purposes of sabotaging our credit and our credibility. Up until a year ago, Abby and I had never had any run-in with the law whatsoever. We are not criminals, nor are we fugitives from justice, nor are we crazy. We are simply artists and filmmakers who are being racketeered on. We believe there are to be a malignant tumor of star whackers in Hollywood. How many people do you know personally who have died suddenly and mysteriously in the past 5 years? I have personally known 8 actors, all of whom...
Yeah, he talks about Heath Ledger too.
All of whom I have worked with and was close to. Heath Ledger, Chris Penn, David Carradine among them. I believe these actors were whacked, and I believe that many others, such as Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan, and Mel Gibson, are being played to get at their money. In the meantime, many of celebrities' image and marketability is being co-opted and destroyed. Google helps out by keeping the negative stories near the top of a celebrity's webpage because it's the negativity that brings in the advertising revenue.
Yeah.
In my own case, my ex-attorney Lloyd Braun has joined this tribe of bottom feeders by creating his own celebrity gossip website. What is wrong with that picture? When your own attorney starts defaming you, who do you turn to defend you? Lloyd Braun also claims to have come up with the idea of The Sopranos, so he's obviously familiar with the ways and means of organized crime. Unfortunately, my brother Dennis has made matters worse by buying a house from Mr. Braun on property Braun originally bought with money he embezzled from me. I recently discovered, much to my surprise, that Dennis is also on the deed to my Santa Barbara property.
Okay, I want to stop it for a second because I saw a comment in the chat. Completely supplied said, "People, I'm not fake because I keep an open mind. No one knows for sure we match symptoms to the technology." I think that's fine. Completely supplied. It's like, you know, I know 100% I'm being targeted by integrated directed energy weapon systems, like the heat on my skin, how it's done, the way the V2k is. Like it's not even. Never once did a thought come into my mind, am I going crazy? Because of how it happened, because it's so obvious that you're being hit with weapon systems. But I do see that targeted individual has it's been a kind of a word or a label that a lot of people who are not going through the weapons attacks and the organized gang stalking by DHS Fusion Centers, InfraGard, Community Watch are using, who maybe feel spiritually oppressed or marginalized and stuff like that. So we just got to differentiate when we're talking about it. And I mean, that's fine. We've got to talk about this stuff. I don't think anybody should think you're fake just because you have, you know, certain ideas that you want to talk about this subject. The Badger Report says, completely supplied. You really have some people stalking you online. Sorry about that. If it means anything, I don't believe them. No, I mean, we've got to talk about every angle of this. You know, but I'll just tell you guys personally. Yeah, so completely supplied said, Rick M, I agree. It is a tactic though of fake TI, divide, pick sides. That's the Delphi technique. Yeah, yeah. I think this evil system's trying to divide us all. But I'll tell you all the truth, and we can talk about this. But when I see, I think that this is spiritual wickedness, and it's mixed with technology. When I hear people saying this is demonic, don't believe in V2k, don't believe in that stuff, that's not true. I see this is just personally, so y'all can tell me what you think. I see a conversation that never needed to happen. And that's a tactic that I think a lot of psyops take. They'll introduce discussions that really should have never taken place. But then you find yourself off to the side. I've made a lot of videos saying, come on, guys, like my iPhone is not demons, right? So I think it's a topic that it should not be a debate. There are technologies that are attacking people, that are torturing them. You can you look at the Directed Energy Summit, look at the patents, listen to all the testimonies of the people. There's no mental illness or hysteria that can create that. It's ludicrous to think that. That is a delusion to think there's a mental illness that can create that. And also, I mean, I don't know, demon possession, things like that. Yeah, they've been around for a long time, but there are weapons, there's technology. We've seen the technology grow, and then we've seen what targeted individuals are saying. And the technology that DHS fusion centers use. People text each other, they get alerts and all this stuff. And to me, it's not so complicated that we've got to say, oh, it's probably demons, it's some kind of magic or something. Now, mixed within there, right, there are witches and warlocks and people that think they're casting spells on people. There's that kind of energy. I do believe in demonic possession. I believe it's out there. But I'll tell you what I believe in that's a bigger problem in our society is spiritual wickedness of people not believing in God at all. And so then they think that they're gods. They start doing violent stuff and start going the wrong way. And somebody doesn't have to be possessed by a demon to do that. They can just be an evil human being. And that's spiritual wickedness. That's from Satan, right? So, I mean, I guess we need to have that conversation. But if you guys do come to my channel, these weapons are 100% real. I'm being 100% tortured by them. I know a lot of people who maybe have not experienced it. You may ask those questions, and I'm not saying for completely supplied. I'm not saying you're not a TI or anything. I'm just saying, like, people who are not going through the hardcore torture, they could be like, well, that does sound like mental illness. Are you sure it's maybe not demonic possession or mental illness or something like that? When you're experiencing this and you're being hit by the weapons, there is no question. It's not subtle. It's not a subtle thing. It's an attack. It's an attack with weapon systems. So that's a 100% bottom line. But we do need to talk about this stuff, and we don't need to jump to like, oh, this person's a perp because they have a different idea than me. I don't even do that with Jeremiah Cohen. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that, but I try and give people the benefit of the doubt and say, well, maybe they really believe this, and then that's okay. I don't want to go too much into that, but yeah, Ken Price said, I lived the movie Fallen, scared the life out of me. But I see that. I see it as like the gang stalking. People can be put in your pathway and stuff like that, and they use a system with DHS Fusion Center to GPS you or to give an alert when you go into a place. So people might look at you because they got an alert on their phone. So this, it's technology. It seems to say like it's demons jumping from person to person is like, for me, this is for me, and I know probably some of you guys, it's like me picking up my iPhone and saying this thing is made out of demons. It just doesn't need to be a conversation, But I'll still talk about it because it is a conversation. I just don't think it should be a conversation. I think that we should be able to differentiate between spiritual oppression and when Satan's attacking you and when people are attacking you. Like if you had somebody with a gun in front of you that was pointing a gun at you, you'd be like, that's a person with a gun pointed at me. That's how I see these weapons, this torture. It could be an autonomous system attacking you at certain points, but it's weapons. And I don't think if you had a person with a gun in front of you that was about to shoot you, you wouldn't say, well, that's just spiritual. That's a spiritual apparition or whatever. But you know, I guess it could be like demons working through that person. I don't know. So Autumn says, at PH certainly in technology helps them so much. Yeah. Yeah, completely Splat says this is all done with electromagnetic frequencies. Right. I'm reading backwards through some of these. So the Badger report says, so if a TI does something bad, does that make them a fake TI? What is it you're trying to say? That real TIs are without sin and never do anything bad? Think about what you're actually saying. Now, I mean, I think that there are a lot of targeted individuals who have maybe done crimes in the past, maybe, or made mistakes. We all do. I haven't committed any crimes in my past, but I've made mistakes. You know, I smoked weed for a long time, and it's not really a mistake. I don't really see that as a mistake. But I also don't think that if you're perfect, like in your relationship with Jesus Christ and God, or God, because they're both the same. If you don't have a perfect relationship and maybe you're sinning a little bit, like small sins, I don't think that's why you're being targeted. You're not being targeted because somehow your relationship with Jesus Christ is not pure enough. I think that's one of the biggest things that I hear from some of the channels that say that this is just demonic activity. There's no technology. There's no community watch. There's no DHS fusion centers. I mean, all those things have been proven to exist. So it's a factual lie. Like, it is a factual lie to say all of this is demonic activity. There is no technology. There is no gang stalking. That's a factual lie. And it's not an insult. I'm not trying to insult anybody, but it's a factual lie. But like, I'm a really good person. My relationship with Jesus Christ is very good. And I listen in my heart to what he tells me to do. And he tells me, like, I mean, in my heart, in that quiet voice, that quiet inner voice from your heart, he tells me to find real solutions to this, to defend myself. And that's what's given me some sort of success, which has helped me to survive in this, to listen to that still voice. If you just stay close to God, he'll tell you what's going on. And that's the reason why I have a hard time. Like, okay, these people they're saying that they're following God, why are they lying and saying this technology doesn't exist? Because I know God wouldn't lead them in that direction. And it's just question. I'm not saying anybody's fake or not fake or whatever. I don't know. I think that we got to put everything in its place. And the spiritual nature of this is a priority. But I find that through the body and through the mind, through the physical body and the physical mind, you can feel more or less connected spiritually to God. Because he gave us bodies. He gave us a brain. He gave us all these inner structures of the brain and stuff. And when it's healthy, you feel good and spiritually connected more. He set up all these things. So not that you shouldn't live in the spirit, but if somebody just sits there and they're being targeted, their body's being destroyed, their mind's being destroyed, and they say, okay, Jesus, please just make the demons go away, right? What's going to happen if they're really targeted and they've got a team on them, their team is going to say, okay, they have a belief that this is demons, so let's go ahead and all the remote neural manipulation and all that stuff, we're going to make it sound like demons. We're going to make it feel like demons. We're going to really push these people's beliefs, right? We're going to push this targeted individual's beliefs. And that's a danger. That's all we have to know when it is technology and it is torture. We have to know that, and then we have to know if somebody's having spiritual oppression, because they're two different things. Sometimes you have both, right? You're targeted by the weapons and you feel spiritually oppressed, which could mean there's spiritual influence in that. But I think the priority is to stay in faith, right? But work on what's destroying your body first, and then explore some of those things, because our mind and our body is what we use to, gives us this channel of connection that can be stronger with God. We'll talk about that more. Let me finish playing this. Definitely Randy Quaid is a targeted individual.
This is also the work of Mr. Braun, further confounding the validity of the transfer of my fully furnished property in 1992 to Mr. Bruce Burnham. I have earned approximately $40 million throughout my career. I have profit participation in some of my films. I am being embezzled from by this monstrous ring of accountants, estate planners, and lawyers who are mercilessly slandering me and trying to kill my career, and I believe murder me in order to gain control of my royalties. I wish to return to only one thing: work.
So does your client plan on attending the hearing next week in Santa Barbara?
My client is intending to comply with the law in both jurisdictions, and we are going to spend the next couple of days strategizing how to best achieve that.
Will that not compromise your refugee?
It may. We have a number of options available to us now, some of which existed before he made a refugee claim and some which arose yesterday. So we're going to take a look at the best options, and it may be that we do abandon the refugee claim.
So in favor of citizenship application and sponsorship?
There are numerous options: work permits, permanent resident status. They're all
okay, guys. I just wanted to show you all that. I'll probably be doing a bigger video on Randy Quaid. I'm gonna like email him and leave a comment and see if he will tell me if he's being hit with weapons. Why not? Okay, so the last thing for today is really important. I want to give y'all some background on it. Okay. There's this thing called the what is it? The Galactic Federation of Light. And I want to read y'all this thing. Where is it? Okay, in 1971, a British radio talk show devoted to UFOs received a strange call-in claiming to originate from outer space, which some of the guests believed to be genuine. This turned out to be the prelude for the 1977 Southern television broadcast interruption, when a voice calling itself Vrillon of the Ashtar Galactic Command temporarily took over a television transmitter in southern England. So I want to play what he said. Now, I don't know what you guys think about this. Back then, it was very hard to break into television broadcasts. A lot of people think that this was really an alien, right? I think that I don't. I think that it was a prank. But it's very, very important for something I want to show that they showed on Edge of Wonder today. So check this out. Check the backstory.
Television was the first known victim of a television hijacking. On the 26th of November, 1977, at around 5:10 p.m., an alien managed to interrupt the broadcast of the local ITV station, Southern Television, via the Hannington transmitter. The voice overrode the UHF audio signal of the early evening news being read by the late Andrew Gardner from ITN. The interruption ceased a minute after the statement had been delivered, with the transmission returning to normal after an episode of Looney Tunes. This is the audio of what the alien had to say.
This is the voice of Brilliant, the representative of the Ashtar Galactic Command, speaking to you. For many years now, you have seen us as lights in the sky. We speak to you now in peace and wisdom, as we have done to your brothers and sisters all over your planet Earth. We come to warn you of the destiny of your race and your world so that you may communicate to your fellow beings the course you must take to avoid disasters which threaten your worlds and the beings and our worlds around you. This is an order that you may share in the Great Awakening as the planet passes into the new age of Aquarius. The new age can be a time of great peace and evolution for your race, but only if your rulers are made aware of the evil forces that can overshadow their judgments. Be still now and listen, for your chance may not come again. All your weapons of evil must be removed. The time for conflict is now past, and the race of which you are part may proceed to the higher stages of its evolution if you show yourselves worthy to do this. You have but a short time to learn to live together in peace and goodwill. Small groups all over the planet are learning this, and exist to pass in the light of the dawning new age to you all. You are free to accept or reject their teachings, as only those who learn to live in peace will pass to higher realms of spiritual evolution. Hear now the voice of Rillian, the representative of the Ashtar Galactic Command, speaking to you. Be aware also that there are many false prophets and guides operating on your worlds. They will suck your energy from you.
Yeah,
energy you call money.
Guys, this is a reenactment. They don't actually have like the original broadcast. So this is just somebody redid it. I couldn't find, like, I don't think anybody has that original broadcast. So anything you see on YouTube where it shows that broadcast, where they cut into the broadcast, it's going to be like a reenactment. They're going to be doing their own voice and stuff. So I just wanted to let y'all know that.
Ends, giving you worthless straws in return. Your inner divine self will protect you from this. You must learn to be sensitive to the voice within that can tell you what is truth and what is confusion, chaos, and untruth. Learn to listen to the voice of truth which is within you, and you will lead yourselves onto the path of evolution. This is our message to you, our dear friends. We have watched you growing for many years, as you too have watched our lights in your skies. You know that we are here, and that there are more beings on and around your Earth than your scientists admit. We are deeply concerned about you and your path towards the light, and will do what we can to help you. Have no fears. Seek only to know yourselves, and live in harmony with the ways of your planet Earth. We of the Ashtar Galactic Command thank you for your attention. We are now leaving the planes of your existence. May you be blessed by the supreme love and truth of the cosmos.
Later in the evening, Andrew Gardner apologized for what he described as a breakthrough in sound for some viewers. After some modern research, the interruption was recorded on tape and can now be seen on YouTube and other video sharing websites.
Man, I haven't found the original video, so if anybody can find it, let me know. It's just important to what I want to use of the voice, the V2k, use of the voice of God weapon, because, well, I'll show you guys in a second. There was something else I wanted to say. It's a good message, right? Like, even if it was some people that just hacked in, it's a good message that we, need to be better as human beings. We need to go towards the light. It's a very hopeful message. I do think it was just a prankster, though. Personally,
the broadcast message was considered to be a hoax by most sources, although some people still question the explanation of a transmitter hijack. You see, to this day, Verillion is still at large, and since only the UHF audio signal was hijacked, we never got to see his face. So there's still a possibility that Verillion really was an alien, and we ignored his request that we remove our weapons of evil for 37 years.
We built more weapons, right? They had nuclear bombs and stuff back then. At the time that this broadcast was going out, they were working on microwave weapons, and probably MK Ultra. They were at the end of MK Ultra, so they were working on new weapon systems even more. But that brings me. I just wanted to give you all some background on it of what happened, and then I want to show you all this clip from Edge of Wonder, Alien Lord Ashtar. It's one they put out just today, and I'll tell you guys that it's kind of a hopeful thing that when you wake up and you see a huge channel like Edge of Wonder talking about targeted individuals, when you wake up, everybody's talking about this stuff, right? That's a really good, hopeful thing. But what happened after this transmission, and then people started finding out more about the Galactic Federation of Light, They said it was like Lord Ashtar was the one giving the instructions or giving the message. And a lot of people in the New Age movement started like channeling him, right? And so that's important for this little segment coming up.
And it just appear out of nowhere.
Well, and also that's such a strange, unexplainable orbit, right?
Exactly.
Now, we want to bring up some very important points related to the military and Lord Ashtar. A pretty well-known channeler of the Ashtar command was Greg Giles, who made videos and had his own website dedicated to the messages he was receiving from Lord Ashtar.
However, in 2012, he had a single post in which he said his website was being hacked and couldn't delete anything. The last post he made is an apology to the world. Giles believed he was part of a secret U.S. military psyop, where agents within the Department of Defense were using radio waves or the voice of God technology to send him messages in the name of Ashtar.
He goes on to say that this program was designed to target these kinds of individuals to lure them into their web, so these individuals are actually also called TIs, or targeted individuals. This way they can monitor and control all information that is going to the public so that they can spy and watch people who could have certain abilities. We have some friends who may be coming on the show who are going to talk about TI.
And so think about it, guys. This guy who he had a channel where he would channel Lord Ashtar, right? So think about how we're targeted and how, like, before you even start getting overtly targeted, you're probably being remote neural monitored, and they're finding out about your psychology and how you think, what you believe in, and things like that. This guy, the guy that was targeted with the voice of God weapon as Lord Ashtar, right? He was getting these actual audible voices from Lord Ashtar, and then he was like telling people what they said, right? That was from the team that was going to attack him, the team attacking him with integrated directed energy weapons and neuro weapons. They said, oh, well, this guy believes in channeling. He does believe that, you know, a voice can come in his head and it might be from an alien higher being or God or whatever. And many other targeted individuals have said sometime, like when they first heard V2k, they did think it was God, right? So I look at my own situation, and my attackers have never tried to use V2k to make me think it's God. They never did that. And really for the first like year or 2 years, probably first year of V2k, I thought that my hearing was just so good that I could hear people above me. And then when I moved into the house, I thought that my hearing had been affected by the high-pitched sound to where I could actually hear my neighbors in their house next to me, which is ridiculous because we had these 2 huge brick walls. You can't hear what your neighbors are saying like that. But that's what I thought. I was like, oh, well, I can just hear my neighbors. Well, that's weird because they're in the house next to me. But for a lot of targeted individuals, while they'll their attackers will do that, and they'll take that protocol of voice to God weapon because they'll see that their beliefs entail a voice maybe being able to speak to them, and some people would believe that was God. Now that's why I said at the beginning of the video, it's very, very important. Our perspective, our perception of God is very, very important. And what I found, now this is just me, I know God speaks to us in a lot of different ways, and a lot of people, he speaks to us in different ways, but it's that still voice that's like you're the best side of you, right? I think that's where God speaks to you, and he doesn't speak in this loud voice. He speaks through your heart. He speaks through what you know is right, what you feel is right. And so we need to keep that perspective. We need to teach people who are not TIs to have that perspective too, because a lot of them, they could be fooled like this. They could get into a psyop situation where they're getting the voice of God weapon and they're putting out information that their attackers want them to put out, right? So let's listen to the rest of it, because they give another example too. There's another targeted individual that was targeted by the voice of God weapon in this way.
And all of this on a live show soon, so keep an eye out for that.
Greg explains that they were using electromagnetic microwave neural weapon technology to reprogram his thoughts, keep him under surveillance, which were giving him nightmares. He even says that these sonic weapons are hidden in cell phone towers, which are, quote, soaking our airwaves with the digital information of their hellish nightmare.
So we have done a few episodes on mind control devices, and even recently someone sent us in the mail photos of alleged flagpoles with hidden technology in them. He even explained that a Navy friend of his is helping install them, which started to interfere with his garage door opener, if you can believe that.
Also, being in New York, I'm starting to see these devices all over on top of buildings, and while we were in Hawaii, we saw them everywhere. Of course, they're saying that these are just cell phone towers or devices, but now with 5G rolling out, and,
Yeah, even without 5G, just with 4G, parts of these microwave towers have magnetrons in them. Like you have an upper circle of transmitters that have magnetrons and have ways of actually targeting that energy, that directed energy at targeted individuals. But we do have to remember though that it's a grid setup. So it's not only 5G is going to make things worse. I think we all know that 5G is going to make it so that they can target more people and it's faster. And they're going to put 5G everywhere, so it's like a lot easier to target people when they move. But we've also got to remember that they have like satellite, over the horizon radar, ground radar, Gwen towers. Things that are like Gwen towers that actually push electromagnetic frequencies under the ground, through under the ground, and then of course drones and helicopters, and that sort of thing. So it's like this giant grid where all these delivery systems for directed energy. But microwave towers, and then with 5G coming in, they're a huge part of that. That's where you're probably getting a 24/7 signal, from a microwave tower in your area, either to well, it could be both. It could be to a non-consensual implant and nanoparticulates and smart dust that have crossed the blood-brain barrier, or both of those things. Either one of those things or both of those things.
Who knows
what they're using them for?
Yeah, many people are worried, and even though 5G is inevitable, we just hope that the good guys take control over this technology from the cabal or the deep state. But to finish with this Greg guy,
I hear so many people talking about that, like David Wilcock and Jordan Sather, and they're just so sure. They're just so sure that there's an alliance that's helping us, that's fighting against like the really evil deep state. There are a lot of white hats. I really want to believe that. I want to believe that, but it's just like, I see how my attackers work, and I see how the world works, and people are waking up. People are waking up to know about the really, really evil stuff and the corrupt stuff that's going on in society. And I think it would, they would say, okay, well, we've got to placate those people in some way. We've got to come out with somebody like David Wilcock who says, hey, the NSA is actually, part of the alliance. They're on our side. Like he said that. He said like the NSA is like completely good now, and it's only good people watching us, right? And I just feel like this is a psyop to kind of make the people who know about this stuff hopeful, so that they don't take action, right? So they're like, well, people are working on it, right? I feel that it's that. I feel like this whole thing about the alliance and they're good people working against this stuff. However, I want to be wrong on that. And I do hang on, and I keep hope. And like when I hear certain stuff about Q, which I guess I might do some videos on Q for people that maybe don't understand all that, what's going on with that. I really do hope, when Trump didn't bomb Iran, that was surprising to me. And I was like, maybe this is true, right? Maybe there are some good guys. Maybe Trump is partly a good guy, and is trying to do some good things for the people of our country. I try and hang on to it, but the bigger part of me is saying it's just another psyop, because all the big money and control, that everybody that's a part of that and they're picked are working on a master plan. They're not going to go against the master plan. I hope they are. I hope there are a lot of white hats. I really hope I'm wrong on this one. But I just have that feeling like it was like, okay, well, let's say that there's an alliance out there, and it'll make people think that they got some people that'll do it for them, right? that'll fix things for them. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm still looking into it as much as I can. I just see the people kind of leading up oh, sorry guys, the people who are talking about the alliance and trying to get people excited about it, you know, like Corey Good and David Wilcock. You know, they never talk about neuroweapons. They never talk about any of these things that are affecting some of us so traumatically and just destroying our lives. They say they know everything. They have all this insider information, yet they never ever mention that. They'll mention these aliens that live underground, but wouldn't they know about, you know, advanced technology being used on people, being used to try and control them and destroy their lives? So it just doesn't really fit for me. But once again, I really hope I'm wrong. I know that there are still good people in the system, and maybe they are trying to, you know, create a good coup where we could get back some of our freedoms. Maybe it's going on in every country. You know, we can hope, right? But never let that hope. Like the bottom line on that one is we must always take action. Like even just a community level, we have to take action to change things. We can't just be like, oh, well, people are going to fix that. The good guys are going to fix that. Even something where it's like, I'm sure this doesn't happen, like where y'all like, well, Kyle's going to fix this or something like that. That's ridiculous. I know none of y'all think that, but any kind of YouTubers or people doing this big activism, never just depend on them. You know, they're just people too, trying to put out information and stuff. You got to say, what can I do? What action can I take? Never sit there and be like, well, those guys, they'll take care of it for me. They're figuring things out. You can bring something to the table that nobody else in the universe can bring to the table in relieving people's suffering and getting us all through this, and hoping and praying to God that programs like this can be shut down, you know.
He compares what the Cabal is doing with these mind control devices to the prophetic 1984 book, and how this is their sick and twisted plan.
On another level of synchronicity, as we were writing this episode, an email came through by a person with the pseudonym Mike Johnson. The most fascinating part of all of this is when I stumbled on the site paoweb.com, which is the official site for the channeler Sheldon Neidl. I noticed this is the same website that Mike mentioned, which caused him to have all of his issues too.
Mike wrote a very long email describing in detail what has been happening to him. Mike believes he too is a victim of mind-controlled black op government programs. He even had black helicopters following him, meetings with strange people, and seeing many UFOs in the skies along with these black military helicopters.
Now, according to Mike, Sheldon Neidl's Planetary Activation Organization was what he became a part of in 2011 and when all of his troubles started.
Mike attended all of their webinars, ordered all of the books and products, and got really involved till he saw the black helicopters everywhere he went. This is when he had meetings with strange people and weird dreams of being on ships and meeting various ETs and various humans.
Mike was laying in a field when suddenly he had a strong...
So think about it, guys. Think about some of these people, maybe in the UF disclosure community, and let's say that site that they just showed, it's maybe something set up by the military industrial complex, right? They have all these little groups, these infiltration groups, right? And so they make this website up to get people who are interested in UFOs and aliens to go to that site to learn more about them, right? And then they find out about those people, and then they target them, maybe giving them, you know how we have directed dreaming? I have directed dreaming for my attackers when I sleep, but they give them dreams that are so real feeling, where they're visited by aliens or they're brought here by aliens. Kind of makes me think of Corey Good, because when he talks, he's like, yeah, I was sleeping and then I was brought to this place by these aliens. You know, so we've got to be aware of that. There are all these programs running to target certain people and to see if they can push these beliefs, see what they can get the people to do. It really, that website they just went to, and then the two people who were connected to it were targeted by voice of God weapons, directed dreaming, targeting with, you know, neural weapons and things like that. So we've got to, you know, I guess we just got to be aware. There's all these little groups, infiltration groups popping up to get into these online communities and be like, okay, we'll target that person. We'll target that person. It's a horrible thing because it makes, you know, it makes us as targeted individuals, you know, not trusting. You know, it makes us hyper vigilant, and it's just a real thing. There is infiltration, you know. So we've always got to keep our defenses up. You know, stay away from questionable things. Let people know. But we also do have to, like, I mean, you got it. That's why we got to start putting ourselves out there. I was watching a interview with Dr. Horton, and I can't remember the guy's name, but he's really famous. He's you know, kind of going up against the Vatican and stuff like that. Kevin Annett, and he said, you know, how we fight infiltration is we meet each other, we get to know each other. So, you know, I feel like this is how I've done it. You know, I don't think I don't have a lot of people saying that I'm like a fake TI, because like I've started making videos like 5 years ago. I try and show some of my real personality, right? I meet with people, I email them. I've met with some people in my area who are targeted individuals. You know, get to know people. That's the way that we're going to fight that. If we're just a bunch of faceless people typing in, you know, on the internet, how can somebody trust you? So I feel like we're going to have to step out a little bit there. It's a risk, but if you just show who you are, you know, and just, you know, keep putting out the truth, I really think that stuff's going to become less and less powerful. The infiltration, as more and more people know this is true, and you get more and more real people looking into it, and more real people that it's happening to, which God forbid, I wish they wouldn't pull any more targeted individuals into these programs, but that's probably not the case. They keep pulling more and more targeted individuals into these programs because they're making so much money from it. You know, they're making consumer products and medical breakthroughs and military, you know, advancing military weapons and certain things that they would do with V2k, where one soldier talks to another soldier through V2k or synthetic telepathy. So these businesses, these contractors that are really just they're really military operations that are just being called businesses. They're making so much money that we're going to have more and more people pulled in. I believe that if we just keep telling the truth, we keep going up the middle of the field. If you don't trust somebody, you know, tell people that are close to you and just stay away from them. You know, do your thing, keep going up the middle. And I think all that stuff is going to get a lot less bad when we have a clear picture, when everybody has a clear picture of what's happening. You know, people won't be able to come into chats or to come into conference calls and just say whatever, you know, say a bunch of stuff that's going to take people off the mark. It's going to direct them in the wrong way, because everybody will be on the same page with correct information. The more concrete information we get out there, right?
Vision of a school-like setting, sitting in a medical chair with a woman putting drops on his head. Afterwards, he had an incurable psychosis in which he believes involves dark entities, and this is reoccurring.
What followed next was a mix of more black helicopters and many UFOs that were following him. He was forced out of his job and checked himself into a mental institute to seek professional help. But nothing was helping. He even wrote, quote, "I always felt like I was on a stage and used for entertainment purposes like a piece of food," unquote.
He also...
Yeah, how many of us feel like that? I completely feel like that. We feel like we're in the Truman Show, you know? And the reality of it is, like, you know, with gang stalking, because God's given me some discernment, there are people strategically put in your way, vehicularly, where you go, but not everybody's gang stalking you. It is people do have to join up with like DHS fusion centers to do it, community watch and stuff like that. And if they aren't, you know, it's somebody who just told them a lie, and they may do something around you. But it does feel like kind of everybody's in on it, because that's human nature. Once we start seeing a pattern, which they're putting a pattern in front of our face with gang stalking, and they're actually injecting stuff with remote neural manipulation to make that stronger, to make that feeling stronger, then we're going to see, like, we're going to start to see everything is gang stalking. You really have to find discernment. You really have to use some techniques to know that that's not the case, that everybody is not in on it. But it does feel that way sometimes, you know.
Claims to have heard a strong voice which said, quote, "We are from the Pentagon." He once saw a group of ETs called Telosians, who are also tall and blonde, come in his home in his mind's eye. But he described it as clear as day, as they are wearing green uniforms, talking to his family, which seemed benevolent in nature, but then he got these dark vibes from them.
So if you guys believe in synchronicities, literally as Ben was writing this program, he wrote to us to reach out and really just wanted to tell his story to someone and also for guidance on what he should do. Some might say he could just be crazy, but we get a lot of emails like this, and we know for sure the government has and is using these mind control devices on people.
Again, this is a whole other concern for 5G and what these big tech companies are doing. And a lot of people are seeing more of these military helicopters lately. Even Corey Good's YouTube channel has a Chinook helicopter flying really low over his home.
So the big question is this Lord Ashtar and the Ashtar command real, or a dark agenda created by the Cabal for some evil intent? Or is Lord Ashtar actually real, and as the Cabal always does, they're using it for their own purposes? And what about those 1977 broadcast interruptions?
Right, so maybe the broadcast interruption was real all along with Tassel, but the Cabal got worried and started to use the voice of God technology to really confuse people. But you guys might be asking, why do this when the message seems very righteous?
Yes, and this is another point to bring up, which goes into all the weird UFO religions that came about after Tassel, since we know that the ultimate goal of the Cabal is to destroy people's faith in God and the divine and promote their Luciferian agenda.
And this agenda that they push is that God never existed or is just a weak being, and that extraterrestrials are our real gods, which is what a lot of alien shows actually promote at its root. So even though on the surface it seems righteous, behind it is this "we created humans."
Now guys, we're not just coming up with this. This is what the deep state believes and what they push and why they do what they do. And this is also where it gets super blurry on who actually said what. Since some say Ashtar is our ancestral father, and others say he only got here from the 1950s on. And don't forget that weird UFO religion called Heaven's Gate in the 1990s, who all killed themselves because they thought that the Hale-Bopp comet was a spaceship coming to take them home. But we digress.
However, there does seem to be some truth to the spaceship part. So while
okay, guys, I just wanted to show you all the targeting aspect of that. And definitely check their channel out. You know, they go into a lot. They talk to Corey Good and David Wilcock, but then they do a lot of good information about targeted individuals in the deep state. You know, it's one of those channels that I see where, you know, to stay relevant and to get subscribers, they kind of have to go into a bunch of different topics, and some of them to me just seems like way too left field, and it seems like it's going to discredit some of the good stuff. But yeah, they do put the good stuff in there. So I'm like, you know, these two guys don't seem to be controlled opposition. They seem to just be kind of making a coast to coast kind of show to me. But if any of you guys have a different idea on it, you know, I definitely want to hear that. I kind of want to read some of the chats before we close out. Badger Report says there are many things that come against us in the physical that mean us harm, like the fiery furnace with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. But no matter what it is, God is greater than all of it. Amen. Amen. I believe that too. iFlack says, LOL, yeah, that's what the guy's voice told me, that he was a voice actor during the first 6-month phase when they are friendly. Yeah, and in my V2k, it's like, at first their voices were, I couldn't tell who they were, but it was like 2 guys and a girl. Then I moved into the house and it sounded like a guy and his wife and the woman who lived next to them. And then when I moved into this condo, they switched up voices again to a woman that I don't know and like 2 guys that I don't know. And then there's like another woman's voice in there sometimes. So we've got to realize that they have voice modification. You probably have not heard your attacker's real voices. Maybe some people have, but I think in my case, I have not heard my attacker's real voices. They've always used voice modification, frequency mixed in with their real voice to make it sound like another voice, you know, like someone else's voice. Somebody saying, check out Kyle Odom. JT Born Again said, XX, check out Kyle Odom. I've seen that story. It was the, I think that he was a targeted individual, but he was talking about reptilian shapeshifters, and, you know, he thought that they were in charge of the targeting and things like that. I need to go look at that again. It's very sad because when we're attacked, it's really helped me to stay grounded, guys. Like, I like to talk about extraterrestrials and UFOs. Like, I don't put it a lot on my channel because I'm trying to get information out about this targeting and stuff. It's fun, and some of those things are very possible. Just don't let it be used against you. If you're a targeted individual, this really is. I know that half of the battle is spiritual, right? There's a lot of spiritual evil in the world. You know, Satan's attacking believers and Christians, but this is like, these are people on weapon systems. They're doing research and development. They're trying to advance the weapons. So just have that bottom line, and then you can talk about a whole lot of other stuff and explore other stuff that can make you spiritually strong, right? Yeah, I do. Like, I guess I do. I know some people think that V2k is sometimes demons. I do not. Like, I do not. I think that, you know, if you have voices in your head, you either have a mental illness or you're being hit with V2k, to me. You know, convince me otherwise. People can talk about it, and we can all talk about it. I just don't think that, I think with this technology introduced to the world, if you're hearing voices, you probably either have a mental illness or you have V2k. I think that maybe I see demonic activity working in a different way of, like, tempting people or coming into your life, like a spiritual thing like that. I don't see it that demons have this power to actually physically shoot like a microwave beam at you. Other people do. You know, I know a lot of people in the chat probably do. And I guess we're going to have to talk about that more. I really don't think it should be a conversation. Like, we know that these weapons exist. Show you all the directed energy summit. If you look at my videos and other target individuals' videos, there's just all kinds of proof that these weapons are being used to experiment on people. There's a spiritual element, spiritual wickedness, Satan in people's hearts. Just like I'm a good guy, right? And I'm a Christian, and I've got Jesus Christ in my heart. I'm using this technology to get the word out, right? I'm not using some kind of special magical spiritual communication with you guys, right? I mean, it is, but it's involved in this, right? You see, this technology that I'm putting myself on a live stream, I'm getting information out, sharing my heart, sharing my spirit. Of course, it's coming through this technology, right? So part of it's spiritual, part of it's technology, right? Y'all see that example right there, and that's how we should see these weapons. That people who work for Satan, who are on that side, the evil side, they're going to work through the world, just as Christians work through the world. And I think it's so important that we live in the spirit, but we work in the world to relieve suffering. We fill hungry people's bellies. You know, we deal with that prioritized stuff, how God created this world. You know, when you get hit or you get hurt, you suffer. When you're feeling good and you're healthy, you feel good, you feel happy, you know, and God created this world that we have to live in. We live in the spirit, but we have to work in. We have to work in this world of material stuff. And evil does that just as well as good people do that, right? So I'm gonna re-look up Kyle Odom. I guess everybody look up Kyle Odom. There's a lot of situations. A lot of situations that came out. There was a news story about this one young teenager. I think he was like maybe 17 or something like that, and he killed his brother with a sword because he thought he was a reptilian. He was experiencing hallucinations and things like that. And I look at that and I say, that guy was targeted. He was getting hallucinations from the remote neural manipulation, and he was young. He was like a teenager, and they used that situation to to really go after a lot of conservative voices on social media. They're using all these horrible situations that come from targeting, where people can't take it or they're confused as to what it is, and they do something crazy. I think that's why people who do think that this is demonic, I would give you some advice. If you are a person that thinks that this is demonic, that's okay, and we can talk about that it's just demonic and there's no technology. But you've got to think about people out there who they may be getting hit with remote neural manipulation and microwaves, and they go out and they're gang stalked and they think that demons are attacking them. Is that going to help them when that's not true? They're going to do something crazy. They're going to, and when they talk to people about it, they won't be able to receive any kind of help, because if they go to a police officer, they're going to say demons are attacking me. A demon's in you. They're going to get put into the mental institution immediately, and they're not going to. So it can just show you, because of the outcome of that, the outcome of saying there are demons. Like if I went to my parents and said there are demons attacking me, there may be demons possessing y'all, there's all the gang stalkers are demons, my parents would put me in a mental institution. But since I tell them what is factual, that there are these weapons torturing us, and yes, there's a spiritual component, spiritual evil versus spiritual good. Yes, I totally agree with that. But you got to see what's the outcome of that. And then you got to say those people that are trying to really convince people that this is demons and that there are no weapons, and forget about that. You don't love God enough if you think there's actual V2k and all that stuff. Those people saying that, what do you think they're really trying to do to people who are really suffering from this? When the person they're talking to is like, yeah, you're right, this is just demons, it's not weapons at all, they try and go get help and tell people about this. Boy, our attackers, you know how much they love that? You know how much they're going to love that? Oh, they think it's demons now? You'll get attacked harder. You'll get hit harder. They'll try and use it as a psyop. And then if you take that to anybody, I mean, it's hard for people to believe that this technology exists and is hitting us. So just think about it. Think a little further ahead about what's going to happen to people with those beliefs. And you can kind of see what's factual and what's kind of a psyop, what's a lie. Now, and I'm not saying there's no spiritual element involved in this at all. Y'all know me. Spirit is #1 priority, is getting what's locked away in your spirit, not locked away, but your connection with God, using that to do these things, to get defenses, to help people to stay strong. It's completely necessary. Evil people that work for Satan do the same thing. They get power from Satan, but they work through this world. I don't see where everything, like even Jeremiah Cohen, he edits a lot of great videos. He talks through the computer. He's using technology, and then he's saying technology doesn't exist. It's just spirits, and if you don't believe that, then you don't believe God can help you. We got to think about what people's motives are by saying, what if people took what they're saying and went out and tried to get help with that information, right? And that can tell you a lot about what's true and what's not true, right? Does that make sense to everyone? I know some people will disagree, and we'll have to talk about it. I don't want to discount anybody, but I do believe that if you're hit with these weapons externally in your remote, it's very obvious. It's very, very obvious that it's weapons, that it's like microwaves, it's things that hurt your body. Let's see. Barefoot Sungator says David Wilcock, all those people. Yeah, I think they're either opportunists, like con men that just are playing the numbers. There are going to be a lot of people that believe me, right? David Wilcock is like, there are going to be a lot of people that believe me and I can make money from them. And there are a lot of people who see through the con. I kind of think that's it, you know, because I've never heard him talk about anything very, very important and hidden in society. And if he was part of the alliance where they had hired him to do that, he'd be telling everybody about neuro weapons. It just doesn't fit, you know. Ken Price says, yes, Satan is everywhere. Yeah, and I mean, I believe that too. I believe this is a fallen world, but the way we look at it, and maybe it's just semantics, you know. maybe a lot of it is just semantics when you come down to it, where people are like, yeah, people are possessed. I mean, they're evil, they're doing the wrong thing, they don't have enough information, so I mean, they're doing evil stuff. It is evil spiritually. Maybe it comes down to just semantics, and I really don't want to get into that now. Yeah, talking about Jeremiah Cohen, I love his spiritual stuff. Love his spiritual stuff. He makes some great edited videos. Him and Simon, they had like every video they're trying to disprove that there's technology hitting and experimenting on people. They're saying it's an either or. They're saying you either believe that this is spiritual and then God can help you, or you believe that it's weapons and experimentation and then God can't help you. Now, this latter thing that they say, that if it's V2k, if it's people on weapons platforms, that God can't help you with that, that is a factual lie. And it's a factual lie that these weapons don't exist and that people are not being experimented on and their lives destroyed by people literally signing up with DHS Fusion Centers, community watch programs, InfraGard, and then people being hit by these weapon systems to do things to their nervous system and their brain. It's a factual lie. That does exist. Those things do exist. So when somebody, and it's not an insult to them, it's not an insult to either of those guys, because I kind of just want to do my own thing, and I know a lot of people are going to say a lot of things, right? But it's a factual lie that this stuff is not happening. So I just, maybe some people who consider themselves targeted individuals and are like, this, it has to be demons. You might not be getting hit with the weapons. I don't know, because I'm hit with the weapons and it's obvious. It's obvious that it's weapons. You know, some people may be getting gang stalked, maybe silent remote neural monitoring. So they think that it's demons because they haven't actually been experienced being hit with external microwaves. I don't know the full score. Like, I don't know every protocol that's out there, but it is something that I think that we should talk about, the spiritual nature of this. We should talk about spiritual oppression and Satan, definitely. We should talk about the actual material facts of it, that people are being experimented on, people are being tortured by these weapons. We should talk about all these things, but saying this doesn't exist, and if you think that it does, you think that God can't help you, that's manipulative. And I don't know if they mean to do that. I question sometimes. I don't know if they, because it's dangerous. That's a dangerous lie to tell people who are looking for answers, hey, forget it. It's not technology, when it could be this technology hitting them. And then they're like, okay, well, that's easy. I don't understand this technology stuff. Well, it's demons. And I'll pray to Jesus Christ. And what their attackers do if they are being hit by weapons is their attackers go, okay, they don't believe in this weaponry. Let's get the V2k going, where it's like a demon and an angel talking to them. That's like one of the many Psyop protocols using V2k and remote neural manipulation, is to play with people's spirituality, to play with their faith. So it's a very dangerous thing. And if it's a very dangerous thing, and it's obviously not, it's not factual, it's a fact that it's a lie, that this technology doesn't exist, then what is that person doing? I mean, if they're not doing it on purpose, I mean, that's okay, but they're so far along in it that I don't see them ever being like, oh, guys, actually the weapons do exist, but there is a spiritual nature to it, which they're good at talking about the spiritual nature of things. I love Jeremiah Cohen's Illuminati videos. He talks about Satan in this world. I think he does a great job, but he has a very specific, like, to disprove that this is happening with weapons, and I really question that, and I'm very suspicious about it. I guess I'll just tell you all the truth. I really can't really tiptoe around things anymore, because I'm so messed up from the targeting. I just got to say what I think. Barefoot Sungator says it's all a psyop to distract the woke people. Yeah, definitely. Bareen Jen says watch Derek Prince. Yeah, a lot of people have recommended Derek Prince to me. Badger Report says, I'm not trying to discount the fact that V2k is real, but I think a lot of the time it is actually demons. But it doesn't really matter which it is, as long as we have God. Yeah, I completely agree with that. You know, I agree with that to a certain point, but gosh, it's so important. It really is important, guys, to understand, to get as close to an understanding of how this technology and how the torture works and what it's doing to us, because that's the way that I find good defenses. So, yeah, but I mean, I understand Badger's point. I understand the Badger report's point. I'll tell you this much. I'll tell you guys this much, because I can speak from my own situation, right? I hear V2k right now. Let me get a couple of lines of what they're saying. The woman just said, I don't want to do this anymore. The guy said, we're going to put him away. It seems to be chatterbox right now. Then another woman says, he got it. I guess because I heard what they were saying or something like that. And it's V2, it sounds like it's coming behind that wall. It's not demons. It is voice to skull. It is a technology, a frequency that's hitting my brain, and then that signal's going down to my inner ear. And tons of people have this being used on them. Yeah, I don't know about the demons speaking in your head where you can hear it. I couldn't go that, because God doesn't do that. Like, God doesn't speak in a big, loud, audible voice to us. And I just don't think that evil spirits do that either in the world that we live in now. Maybe that'll change. Maybe God will reveal himself in that way in upcoming years, because he did way back then. I just don't see that now. But I guess it's a conversation we'll have to have, because I do really care about Christian targeted individuals. It just really, I'll just tell you, bottom line, I like bottom lining things. My parents are both entrepreneurs, business people, and the best business deals when both parties get what they want, and also bottom line things when they get too complicated. And I forgot my bottom line, right? I forgot what I was going to say. Just you know. Yeah, I guess we'll have to. Bottom line is, I love Christian targeted individuals. I am a Christian targeted individual. Okay, bottom line is, the more grounded that you are, the better you're going to do against this stuff. That doesn't mean to not have spirituality, not at all. We need our spirituality. We need our connection to God. But about how we think about things in the world, and if this iPhone, you think about this iPhone, if you go too far with it, right? If you see this and you're like, oh, it's a technology, I can use it, right? You can manipulate the technology. I can watch stuff on it. I can receive calls. I know what to do with it because I know what it is. But if I said, this is demon spirits and they're making this look like a phone, I can't use that, and I'm scared of it, and I can't do anything with it. But I'm going to pray to God that that phone goes away. I'm going to pray to God that that phone goes away, because it's made out of demons. Is that phone going to stay on my bed right there? And I'm sleeping on the floor next to a pile of aluminum right now. Is that phone going to disappear? Is that how God made this universe to work? No. No, he didn't. That phone's going to stay there until I pick it up and move it. Right? And that's the way the world works. And we've got to respect what God has made. We've got to reach for things that we don't understand. But when we're just like, well, you've got to believe all this stuff is demons because the Bible said the word demons, and Jesus, you know, healed people who were possessed by demons. So all of this technology and torture has to. I don't get that. I don't see how that even came to be, and that's very suspicious to me. When that conversation didn't even need to happen, and people kind of got into groups and started saying that was happening, because people at the head of these groups started telling them what to believe, using the words of the Bible to manipulate. I may be seeing a video from Jeremiah Cohen making about me. I don't think he will, though. I don't think he wants people coming to my videos, because I show concrete evidence. He doesn't want to have a thing with me, because people will come here and look at all this concrete evidence. He wants to show no evidence and say, oh, that's crazy sounding that your neighbor's coming out at the same time or something like that. They try and take examples, him and Simon, like the worst examples, the most crazy sounding examples, and say, does that sound like it happened? No, everybody's possessed with demons, right? We've got to, bottom line, this world works in a certain way. God made our bodies and our brains to work a certain way. We've got to respect his creation. It's about respecting his creation. It's about not putting him in a box. And it's definitely about going with what your heart's telling you. Don't listen to somebody say, this is what you got to think, because this is how I interpret the Bible. So you have to think this or you don't love God. Be careful about that, guys. Just be careful about that. Take people's advice and their experiences, and when they want to give you hope and strength and stuff like that. But if somebody's like, this is how you got to think, and if you think this is technology, well, you don't love God. And if you're being attacked by this stuff, then you're not close to God, right? You got to get closer to God. I don't, Jeremiah is like, I'm not being attacked anymore. So his relationship with Jesus Christ must be perfect. And all the people being targeted, we must be filled with sin, right? It gets really, really bad. It gets really bad. And I'm not saying they're doing that on purpose. And I do actually like those two guys. I like War on the Saints, and I like Jeremiah Cohen. I have questions about why they try so hard to tell people that this is not a technology. It seems like a mission to, that, like, they do all this other stuff that's cool, and they talk about spirituality, but main point, right? Their main point is, don't believe this stuff is rooted in the world. Don't believe, and that's a bad way to say it, because it really is rooted in good versus evil, but don't believe that there are gang stalking groups that actually exist. This is demons jumping from people's bodies. And don't believe that there's like a technology that does this, because God can't fix that. And they say that. They say it. So I'm not speaking out of school when I say, because I think that this is I don't think this. I know this 100%, is weapons hitting my body, hitting my brain. Jeremiah Cohen would say, well, you're saying God can't help you. And that's not true at all. And I actually think that God can help us more when we understand what something is and we don't lie about it. We say, this is what this is. It's backed up by spiritual evil. It's backed up by Satan, but it's working through the world, through these weapons. God can help us more to find defenses and stuff. I actually find it a little bit, okay, I'm going to stop talking right now, guys. I'm going to go through some more. I don't like to go, I want to do my own thing, and people are going to say a lot of stuff, right? You know, we got to know that as targeted individuals, that people are going to be coming out. Maybe some of them really believe some stuff that's not true that they're saying. Maybe some people are paid to say stuff that's not true. There's going to be a lot of different voices. Listen to that still small voice inside of you, and really don't even trust me. Like, I want to say that because, like, one of my favorite people is Bill Cooper. I think that he had a lot of flaws, but he really wanted to help people. He really wanted to give power back to the people. He said, don't trust me. You know, listen to me, but do your own research. Do your own research. So don't trust me implicitly. I get things wrong sometimes, you know. I am a real target individual, and I do really want to empower us. You know, but don't trust me implicitly. And look up. That's why it's important, you see, because I've done and I know that targeted individuals, we want to talk about our experiences, right? I did it for years and years. I didn't have a YouTube channel until like a year ago. I started saying, oh, I need to make my YouTube channel a YouTube channel. For 4 years, it was just me on a phone. Look, this is happening. Look, I'm talking about this. I did bring out some concrete information, but a lot of my videos were just me talking about it and saying, how do I perceive this? What's going on? That's the reason we need to bring more concrete information out and show people, because then it's like you don't have to say, well, should I trust that person? They're just talking with no data, with no evidence. Well, if you're talking with concrete evidence and you're backing up what you're saying, then people can say, look, okay, there's the evidence, right? So there's no problem. There's no problem of you like having to trust that person or whatever. You can just look at their evidence, you know? So I feel like that's one of the best ways to get through all this. So Native Neuropter says, you're right on the money with that, Kyle. I'm not sure what she was saying that to, but thank you, Native. In the Badger Report, like, well, you know, Badger Report will come on here and I'll go on his channel and we'll talk about this. You know, we'll talk about this more. I think there's spiritual oppression. I do think there's demonic possession and spiritual oppression. I just don't see why we can't talk about being targeted and what this entails and the spiritual wickedness behind it, I don't see there shouldn't be a, well, you either believe in the technology or you believe in the demonic and the spiritual. It's a conversation that, like somebody was saying in chat, people try and divide us. I think the way that people try and divide us, they try and make up conversations that don't even really need to take place. They try and trick you into thinking there's a decision that's not really a decision. You see what I'm saying? And then there's this argument, oh no, it's demons. Oh no, it's technology. But I think it's spirituality too. Oh no, but you said technology, so that means that you don't believe in anything spiritual, and it just creates that division, right? And I don't want to create division with Jeremiah and with Simon. I've thought about maybe contacting them and doing a debate or something, but it's not a debate that I want to have because it's not a debate that I think should exist. Yeah, take it as you will. Take it as you will. Vera and Jen said, they get mad at a video I make. I know I'm doing good for God. Yeah. I've been suffering so bad. Like I put out some really good, just concrete evidence videos. My attackers are not liking it. I was going to take a break this week. Just can't though. I'm like, I have to do something. I have to at least put information out on YouTube at the very least. But I don't know. Barefoot Sun Gazer says, and most of the people just cannot discern well enough for themselves to recognize the alliance is 100% just controlled opposition. It's to distract and be so woke people think it's all okay. Yeah. So Future Knowledge says, my research leads me to believe that they're using low wattage, low frequency waves for their technology. And I would completely agree with that. Because all the electromagnetic frequencies that they're using, shooting at us, have a little bit of a voltage, a wattage to them. That's why grounding works so well, because then like your external hits, it can't get a grip on your skin, right? Your skin has conductivity. There's a low wattage to some of the stuff they use, the low voltage. So when you're grounding it out, it's grounding out that low voltage. But yeah, hey, y'all check out Future Knowledge's channel. Check out Future Knowledge and check out the Badger Report. They both make great videos. I need to have Future Knowledge, on my live stream. I need to see if he has Google Hangouts. Ralph Bruggett says, if you've been hit and still standing, you are the veteran of this psychic war and make noise. Many have already died. Yes. Amen to that, brother. S. Roble says, Badger, it's definitely man, I believe from man or operators, along with using some supercomputers, AI, from the voice modulations V2k. Yeah, that's what I think too. I actually do believe, I don't know what y'all think about this, because I know a lot of targeted individuals are like, well, because of this technology, has anyone ever really been schizophrenic and heard voices from mental illness? And I know a lot of targeted individuals are like, well, voices in your head from like schizophrenia does not exist. I actually think that it does. I think that schizophrenia, where people hear voices in their head, does exist, but it presents in a much different way than V2k presents. Because right now I can tell you, like, it's muffled. The sound's muffled, but the voices are clear. Like they're saying things, and then this person's saying something, and this person's saying something. I think if you have a brain injury or you have schizophrenia, the voices would be like, and then maybe some of the time be clear, but it would not be clear, concise voices all the time. And I don't think that somebody who is that sick would be able to explain what the voices are saying or anything like that. They may be able to get the gist of it or whatever. I do believe that mental illness does exist where people do, because your auditory, like the part of your brain, your auditory cortex can be messed up. As a matter of fact, a lot of my first psychiatrist they did do testing. They did testing on my brain to make sure that my auditory cortex wasn't messed up, because I told them about the V2k. And there's nothing that last report for my DTI MRI, I think, was a lie. But I do believe my brain showed to be, like, my auditory cortex showed to be normal. And I'm definitely not schizophrenic. I mean, a lot, like Tom Green comes in and calls me schizophrenic, but a schizophrenic person focused for like 6 years and put out concrete information on YouTube like this. Would schizophrenics be doing rallies, going to rallies and putting on rallies and setting up like billboards and like Dr. Horton? I know Dr. Horton doesn't have V2k, but if she was mentally ill, could she pull off a lot of the stuff that she's doing? I mean, because she is like, bulldog, just keeps coming at it with new ideas and trying to get court cases and stuff. Mentally ill person couldn't pull things like that together. I think that, let me bring it into that, things that shouldn't even be a conversation, right? We got to really, I think I just kind of thought of that today. I think we've all thought of it, but putting it into words for the first time, look at something. Does it need to be a conversation? If somebody's trying to make something a conversation that really no sane person would even make into a conversation, they're probably lying, And I guess at this point, a lot of people are so confused in society, they might join into conversations that were made up, right? Like when people are being hit with technology, where they're having, big presentations about it. All these contractors have directed energy weapons. The Cuban embassy event, in the Cuban embassy attacks and the China consulate attacks. All this stuff, it keeps being proven over and over and over and over and over and over. Mentally ill people did not invent in their imagination weapons that it would be seen, would be said, hey, to the public, hey, we have directed energy weapons. It just can't happen. It's not a conversation that should exist. So we should be very questionable about people who are constantly bringing that conversation to the table, even after seeing hardcore evidence, especially if they're acting like, like Tom Green, he acts like he has no stake in the game, right? Like he could care less, but he just wants to call us crazy. Well, is somebody going to do that for 4 years? Are they going to come into every comment section and say that over and over and over again? When we know that there are people that are paid to come online and discredit people or push along this belief and that belief. I mean, come on. It's not, it's obvious stuff. Completely Supplied says, V2k is a feature in the Mural remote monitoring system. Yeah, remote neural monitoring system. I think it's like layers. It's like they're using certain frequencies. They're using certain frequencies for V2k that are specialized and different from remote neural manipulation frequencies. But I don't know. I don't have proof. But it's like they're doing electromagnetic fields and then a bidirectional stream of energy that probably has packaged into it a lot of the different things like V2k, the things that are going to affect certain brain regions in your autonomic nervous system, but they're all packed into one bidirectional stream of energy. And then, of course, you've got the external hits. But it's basically like layers of things that they're doing with different frequencies, from radio frequency to microwave, right? And then a lot of other things in the electromagnetic spectrum. So Badge Report says, I know of a guy who went down into a mine shaft over 1 mile into the earth, and the voices were still there in his head. In that case, I would definitely say it was demons in his head. No, I mean, I disagree, because a lot of this is like low frequency that can travel actually underground. We can talk about that. I'm sure a lot of people think that. Like, I'm sure a lot of people think the way that you do, Badge Report, that sometimes V2k, that demons can audibly talk in the head. I don't really believe that. I don't know if that makes me a bad Christian, but I don't care. Kind of, it's like the truth is the truth, and we can talk about spiritual things, but we've really got to. I guess I don't want to go here, and I'll make another video on it. But I see in a lot of Christian communities that there's some psyops going on. There's some people stepping up in the top of it and telling people what the Bible means about things and how they should think. And sometimes that's good. Sometimes they're preachers, or they're just getting the word of God out. I see the psyops are everywhere, and even in the church, especially in the church. you know. I don't know, but I agree with you on a lot of things, Badge Report, and we can definitely have a video talking about that. PA said, I've been hit 4 times by a do hard. Feels like a hot nail being shot in you. Yeah. Yeah, you know. It's like super obvious. You know, it's like heat to the back of my neck. And my V2k is saying turn it up. I mean, you know, I guess that, well, you know, it's like I say that it shouldn't even be a conversation, demons or weapons, and then I have this big conversation about it, right? I gotta kind of stop that. Try and just move down the field. S. Robo says at Badger, they can have a super fast response to your thought. It's so quick, I don't even think a person could respond that quick. So I believe they use software, supercomputers as well. Definitely S. Robles. And also, what you got to realize is that when you think a thought, it's an electrochemical process in your brain. It's really fast. So you got to think these people are hooked up with remote neural monitoring, remote neural manipulation. My attackers do that sometimes. My brain will be kind of coming up with a thought. They'll say it, and then my brain will think that thought. And it's my thought. I came up with it in my own brain, but they got it first because it's an electromagnetic reaction in the brain that they got in that bidirectional stream, that remote neural monitoring stream of energy. They got it first before it even came up in my own head, so that I could think about it. They grabbed it first. But yeah, and also automated systems would be able to respond really fast to that. But we do also have to realize that the way that our brain thinks, the way that those signals propagate, that with their equipment, they can actually, when you're producing a thought, they can get it like that before you. But I mean, who cares about that? They can know what I'm going to think. I'm still going to think it, right? So 8.74 says, future knowledge, for some reason I haven't received replies and wanted to ask you, since you are good at responding on your channel, I've seen a bunch of your videos. Thanks for all your work. All right, guys. I appreciate y'all's comments. Let me go to the end and see. Oh, wow, that was a long time ago. Oh, hey, Pine Dot. Kizzy Cricket, I love that too. The kindest people I've ever met. Kizzy Cricket says, I like how kind you guys are in this community, even when you don't agree with each other on different points. So good to see. In an age where many have lost all ability to kindly communicate. That's so true. We've got some hard topics, guys. We've got some very confusing topics. Like, even if you have a lot of information and evidence, a lot of it is like, you know, national security. You got to have a certain clearance to know exactly what frequencies and exactly how they mix those frequencies, and then use like laser guided targeting and stuff like that. We're going to have conversations where we can disagree and then just find more information. Say, oh, well, that's true. You got a good point on that. And I'm not 100% sure of it. We got to find more concrete information, you know. Oh, I threw my phone over there, so I can't turn it off. Mr. Mental Inertia. Hey, thanks. I'm going to put some more moderators in the chat room to help you guys. I just want to do a couple of live streams and find out who like really likes coming to my live stream so I can make them a moderator. All right, guys, I'm getting tired. Let's see. Kizzy Cricket says schizophrenia is also the only mental illness that shows up on a brain scan. The internal ventricles will appear swollen and darker than normal. Yeah. That's what my neurologist said. He said it would, if I had schizophrenia, it would show, but it just didn't show anything. Like, I've been microwaved for years and years, and it's like either my neurologist lied or they just didn't know what kind of damage to look for, because it wasn't like a bat hit me in the head. It's like consistent electromagnetic frequencies, you know, like neurologically hurting my brain. So I love you guys. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I hope it gave y'all some information, you know, that we can put out there and share, maybe make y'all feel more empowered. I'll definitely be trying to balance it with information that's coming out about what's happening with us and targeted individuals and things that we can use today to help us to feel better. You know, one of those things, the Doc of Detox, Divine Vine. I'm doing the pineal one, and it's making me feel better, but I've got to use it for a longer amount of time because my attackers will mess with me with stuff like that. So Badge Report says Kyle just texted you to let you know that you're like 10 minutes behind in the chat. Yeah, no, I went back up. I went way back up, scrolled way up, and I was gonna go down and check them out. Yeah. All right, I love you guys. Barefoot Sungator says, I love this channel. Thank you, Kyle and TI community. This is so rare to be able to not hear insults in a live chat being thrown back and forth. Kyle, you are wonderful. Thank you for doing this. Thank you, Barefoot Sungazer. All you guys are great too. All you guys have something special. You have some kind of talent. Like we were talking about it earlier, that person, I can't remember who said it, but they said, you know, think about it, that this is happening, this really bad thing is happening to us. Really bad stuff happening in the world. The world, it's not just the same as it always has been. There's been like people hurting each other forever, but with technology and money all kind of gripped by this one large group at the top, it's never been this bad like this. And that's it. That God put you in this time and place. You were born here. You were targeted. So God thinks you're strong. God knows you're strong, and He's given you a talent that you need to use in this. You know, so we can all help. We can all do something. You know. Now I love you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and end the live stream, but I'll be doing some more. And I love having the live stream back on my main channel, so I don't have to like, oh, should I do a live stream or just do a regular video? I can just do it all here. It's a concerning thing that having my live stream back on here gave me so much relief. That YouTube and what they did by making me have to go do a live stream on my secondary channel affected me emotionally, and it made me more stressed out. That is it made me take stock of what the hell's going on here, you know, because I mess so much with remote neural manipulation, conditioning and stuff. But I shouldn't, like with YouTube, I'm getting information out. I want a lot of people to see it, but I don't ever want to get this spell like we saw with Etika, where it destroyed his life and his emotions of who he thought he was. You know, we've really got to fight back with that. Use these things, use these portals of information, right? But not let them use us. Not let them start eating away at us. We want to infect things with goodness and with telling people about God, telling people about the power of Jesus Christ. You know, I feel like that's not enough. We need to tell people about that, and that's good, and that's the right thing to do for a Christian. But we also, people are suffering from these things in the world, and if you're a Christian, you know, don't just tell people how great God is, right? Show them what a Christian can do. Show them how much weight a Christian can carry, or you know what, you know. But don't pressure yourself too much while you're being targeted. Do what you can, but you know, good Christian who really has God in their heart, I feel like they're going to take action. They're going to see what's really going on if you follow God. So it becomes less hard when you really let God work in your life and work inside of you, and you kind of see the lies. You see the lies. You see what's not going to work and what's not going to help people, and you see what is, and he'll lead you there. He'll get you there. You know. But all right, guys. So you're saying, iFlax said, did he have V2k as well? Durin Jen, you said, I'm about to head to the woods alone. So be careful. I'm in Louisiana. I'm in Louisiana, Jen. I'm in Baton Rouge. Yeah. All right, guys. I love y'all. I'm going to go ahead and stop the live stream, but I'll see y'all soon. And I'm going to check all my emails. So anybody who's emailed me, I'm going to do that right when I get off of here, especially you, Native. I'm going to look at that information you sent and get back to you on it. But I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Just stay strong, stay close to God, Let's keep putting good information out. Let's keep sharing good information. We have to use the networks that we have as targeted individuals, not be scared off by our attackers, not be scared off by our infiltrators, not be scared off by something that's complicated. You know, if something's really complicated and you're like, I don't even know how to think about this or something, just pray to God about it. You know, quiet your mind, and he'll lead you to a solution. Yeah. All right, I better get that phone that I threw on my bed. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. All right.